The man never saw this coming. He thought that once he got the quest-based power-up system, he would finally turn his life around. But the moment he pressed the start button, his finger accidentally touched Karen Beck as she walked past him. Sharon slapped him across the face on the spot, accusing him of sexual harassment. Then she used what had just happened to threaten him and took his allowance right out of his hands. No one knew this was the life he went through every single day. What waited for him at school was nothing but even worse beatings from the upperclassmen. And in the end, all he could do was lower his head and apologize. This hopeless, pathetic boy was named Soo-yeon Kim. Outside, he never dared to fight back, so he just took it out on his mom at home. He stubbornly demanded that she help him take a leave of absence from school because he wasn't learning anything there anyway. Besides, during his time off, he could try running a YouTube channel, but his younger sister, Daeyeon Kim, couldn't help roasting him. "You're such a loser. Do you really think your life is some kind of fighting live stream?" After being crushed again and again, Soo-yeon no longer understood what the point of living even was. But just as his thoughts were spiraling, the quest window that had vanished in class suddenly appeared in front of him again. Without hesitation, Soo-yeon pressed start. The system told him that once he completed a quest, he would receive cards as rewards. Before the real quest began, he could go through a tutorial first. All he had to do was apologize to his mom, and he would receive 1 gold card. The moment Soo-yeon heard the reward was a gold card, he shot up from his seat. With gold prices this high, selling it could be enough to completely change his life. But no matter how hard Soo-yeon reached for it, he couldn't grab the card. With no other choice, Soo-yeon went to his mom and apologized for his rude attitude earlier. The moment the quest completion notice appeared, his apology came to an abrupt stop. Daeyeon grumbled in disbelief, saying this guy had definitely lost his mind. But after receiving the tutorial reward, Soo-yeon didn't care at all. After all, that gold card had to be worth at least 10 grand, right? With that thought, he excitedly activated the card. A burst of dazzling rainbow light instantly shone around Soo-yeon. Then, a golden one-time use card appeared before him. This completely stunned Soo-yeon, who had lived every day like a total pushover. Since it was a single-use card, he hesitated at first, but in the end, he chose to use it. Then he excitedly told his mom the good news. His height had actually increased by 3 centimeters. Yesterday, he had measured himself at only 168 centimeters. But after using the card, he was suddenly 171 centimeters tall. That made Soo-yeon even more certain that the quest system was real. The next day, Soo-yeon arrived at school filled with excitement. After all, the taller and stronger he looked, the less likely people were to bully him. And sure enough, the students passing by all noticed the change in Soo-yeon's height. The moment those words left his mouth, the quest window appeared again, telling him that if he completed the quest, he would receive 1 gold card and 1 silver card. But Soo-yeon was so focused on the quest window that he accidentally bumped into Karen Beck. And because of that, the system immediately selected Karen as the target of this quest. Soo-yeon completely froze. Because this quest was telling him to kiss Karen Beck, Karen instantly got ready to beat him up. But the moment she raised her hand, a thought suddenly crossed her mind. Come to think of it, getting hit by her was basically considered a reward, at least according to the rumors around school. As Soo-yeon watched Karen walk away, he immediately opened the quest system. He was just about to give up on the quest when a warning suddenly popped up. If Soo-yeon chose to abandon the quest, all the rewards he had received so far would be taken back, and the quest system would disappear forever. After seeing the warning, the pathetic Soo-yeon could only rage helplessly on the spot, making the students nearby think he had lost his mind. But maybe only Soo-yeon himself knew that he absolutely could not give up, and he definitely could not go back to being 168 centimeters tall. But then again, how was he supposed to bring up something like this? Besides, Karen always looked down on him. There was no way she would ever date him. He'd be lucky if she didn't beat him half to death. But just then, someone behind him suddenly offered to kiss him. Soo-yeon happily turned around, only to realize it was his classmate Sanji, who was just like him, another pushover who got bullied by everyone. Even though Sanji looked like someone who could fight, in reality, he was just like Soo-yeon and only knew how to get beaten up. Since they were basically in the same boat, Soo-yeon asked Sanji how he could possibly kiss a girl he barely knew. Sanji said he could try giving her money and then politely asking her for it. Soo-yeon was instantly impressed. No wonder Sanji looked like a straight-A student. After all, money was something no one could refuse. So Soo-yeon decided to borrow some money from Sanji first. But when Sanji took out his wallet, it was completely empty. Sanji apologized for giving such useless advice, but then added that if Soo-yeon wanted a kiss, he should at least try to be alone with her first. Sanji did have a point, but how could Soo-yeon possibly end up alone with Karen? Then again, there might actually be one way, and that was the one PE class they had every afternoon. After all, Karen always used feeling sick as an excuse to stay alone in the classroom. When Shireen finally woke up from her nap, she quickly noticed that Soo-yeon had not gone to PE either. Although the two of them were now alone together, Soo-yeon had no idea how to bring up something like that. But unexpectedly, Karen suddenly accused him of watching her sleep. then used that as an excuse to threaten him into buying her strawberry milk. What Karen didn't know was that before the plan even began, Soo-yeon had already prepared the strawberry milk. At that moment, Soo-yeon was still hesitating, wondering whether he should go in aggressively or try to play it safe. Just as Karen was about to drink the milk, Soo-yeon suddenly snatched it right out of her hand. Then he started chugging it down like his life depended on it. After drinking most of it, he slammed the carton hard onto the desk. All of this was just his way of psyching himself up before making his big move. Then Soo-yeon gathered his courage and loudly asked Karen if she would kiss him. But Karen coldly replied, "Do you want to take a trip to the police station that badly?" Seeing that Karen was about to call the police, Soo-yeon quickly said he was just joking around to lighten the mood. But unfortunately, his entire ridiculous performance had already been secretly recorded. The person filming him was Chung Dong-choi, the guy who randomly bullied him every single day. At that moment, Soo-yeon felt even worse than when he was getting beaten up, because this involved the last shred of dignity he had left as a man. Soo-yeon desperately begged Chung Dong to delete the video. Maybe Soo-yeon's voice was just too loud, because Chung Dong finally lost his patience and slammed a heavy punch straight into Soo-yeon's face. Chung Dong mocked him, saying, "What? You're the only one allowed to joke around with Karen? We can't joke around with you, Soo-yeon? Come on, we just want to be friends with you too." Seeing Soo-yeon cover his face without answering, Chung Dong got ready to teach him another lesson. But just as things were about to get worse, Karen immediately grabbed Chung Dong and told him to delete the video. Since Karen had spoken, Chung Dong had no choice but to back off. After all, none of them actually dared to film Karen without permission. Once the whole mess finally came to an end, Karen told Soo-yeon to take the rest of the day off and go home, before an idiot like him ended up getting beaten again. After returning home, Soo-yeon completely lost hope in life. He should have just given up on that stupid quest from the start. Now, not only had he failed the quest, but he had also been beaten to a pulp. Even the glasses his mom had saved up to buy for him had been smashed. So Soo-yeon quietly waited for the moment the system would take back his rewards. But the next second, he suddenly heard the sound of a quest being completed. It turned out Karen had forgotten that Soo-yeon had already drunk from that milk carton. And because of that indirect kiss, Soo-yeon's quest was somehow completed. No matter how hard Soo-yeon thought about it, he still couldn't understand why the quest had counted as complete. But at this point, he decided not to overthink it anymore. Soo-yeon immediately shouted the command to open his cards. The next second, one gold card and one silver card appeared right in front of him. His previous gold card had been a consumable card that changed his height, and this gold card in front of him was a consumable card that could restore his vision. As someone with severe nearsightedness, Soo-yeon didn't hesitate for a second after seeing the card and immediately shouted the command to use it. After the card activated, Soo-yeon's eyes began to change. The blurry world in front of him slowly became clear. Soo-yeon couldn't help but marvel at how godlike the quest-based power-up system really was. Once the excitement settled down, Soo-yeon suddenly remembered that he still had one silver card left to use. It probably would not be as powerful as a gold card, but Soo-yeon could not wait to see what ability he would get next. The moment he shouted the command to use the silver card, an attack-type card called Boxing Skills appeared before his eyes. Soo-yeon excitedly ran out of his room, wanting to tell his mom the good news that his eyesight had returned to normal. But when he looked around, the only person he saw was Da-hyun sitting at the dining table. Da-hyun coldly told him not to talk to her at school anymore, because having such a pathetic older brother was embarrassing. After Soo-yeon returned to class, Chung Dong immediately came looking for him. He threatened Soo-yeon and told him to meet at the back gate during lunch break. When Soo-yeon returned to his seat, Rooster apologized to him first. Even though the two of them had agreed not to help each other when they were getting beaten up, those guys had gone way too far today. Soo-yeon could not understand why he had to keep living like a coward for the rest of his life. At lunchtime, Soo-yeon got beaten up just like usual. Chung Dong ordered Soo-yeon to crawl over and pick up the cigarette butt he had thrown away. Not wanting to get beaten any further, Soo-yeon could only obey. But when Soo-yeon crawled up to the cigarette butt, he realized that his younger sister Da-hyun was already standing there, watching him. After a long silence, Da-hyun asked him what he was doing on the ground. When Chung Dong found out that the girl in front of him was Soo-yeon's sister, his attitude changed instantly. He told Da-hyun that he and Soo-yeon were just messing around and that they would head back to class now. After Da-hyun left, Chung Dong's face twisted into a nasty smile, and he said he would have to get a little closer to Soo-yeon from now on. Later in the restroom, Chung Dong told Soo-yeon to introduce him to his sister, saying they should keep a good thing like that in the family. He even made disgusting, vulgar comments about Da-hyun right in front of Soo-yeon. Hearing Chung Dong talk about his sister like that, Soo-yeon froze on the spot. But suddenly, one of the restroom doors burst open, and Rooster shouted at Chung Dong, calling him a bastard. Before Rooster could even finish speaking, Chung Dong punched him down. Chung Dong walked away while continuing to insult Rooster, calling him a pathetic loser. Soo-yeon finally could not take it anymore. He immediately shouted for Chung Dong to stop and cursed, saying that Chung Dong was the real loser. The moment Chung Dong heard that, he completely snapped, because out of all the people he had bullied, no one had ever dared to fight back. As Changdong's fist was about to slam into him, Suyan activated the silver card he had received the day before. His fist sliced through the air with a sharp sound, and before Changdong could react, it landed cleanly on his jaw. Suyan furiously yelled that bullying him was one thing, but going after his sister Dayan was crossing the line. Right then, the quest system popped up with a new quest called Defeat Changdong Choi. When Suyan saw that the reward was 1 silver card and 1 bronze card, he threw another jab straight at Changdong's face. Changdong could not understand why a pathetic loser like Suyan suddenly knew how to box. But seeing that the tough-skinned Changdong still had enough strength to fight back, Suyan instantly snapped his arm straight, his jab shooting out like a venomous snake. It was so fast that only blurry after-images could be seen. With one final, lightning-fast jab, Suyan finished it. Rooster, standing off to the side, stared in complete shock. And just like that, Changdong was knocked flat onto the floor by Suyan. At the same time, Suyan heard the sound of the quest being completed, and his jab proficiency had also increased. But before Suyan could even catch his breath, Rooster suddenly grabbed his hand. Rooster believed they needed to escape to somewhere safe right away. Even though the two of them had left Changdong behind and run off first, Rooster felt like the real nightmare was only just beginning, because those guys always moved as a group. So once they returned to the classroom, they would definitely run into an even stronger group of school bullies. Rooster could not help asking Suyan when he had learned how to box. Since Rooster still did not know about the power-up cards, Suyan lied and said he had learned it from YouTube. But now, Suyan was curious about what would happen once his jab proficiency reached 100%. For now though, he needed to claim the silver card and bronze card from his quest reward first. When Suyan saw what the two cards could do, even he did not expect cards to have effects like this. Just then, Karine walked over with 2 friends and asked what they were doing here. Suyan secretly panicked, realizing that Karine might have been looking for him too. Karine told them that those guys were searching everywhere for the two of them. She said she would pretend she never saw them, and even told them to hurry up and go home. But unexpectedly, Suyan and Rooster had barely taken a few steps before 3 guys cornered them. The 3 of them looked confused, unable to believe that Changdong had actually been taken down by someone like Suyan. Right after that, they chased away all the students who were watching nearby. At that moment, the person Suyan feared most was the guy who might show up next. The monster who had used boxing to dominate the entire grade the moment he enrolled. The undefeated top dog of West Gangbuk High, Hajun Gu. Hajun's underling immediately reported that Changdong had been knocked out. Even Hajun did not expect someone so skinny to defeat Changdong. Then he asked Suyan why he had knocked Changdong out. Suyan said Changdong had insulted his family first, but Hajun was not satisfied with that answer. Instead, he asked Suyan if he was really that good at fighting. Then Hajun told Suyan to hit him right then and there. If Suyan refused to make the first move, Hajun would be the one to attack. The guys standing nearby were already looking forward to the show. Hajun said that if Suyan actually threw a punch, he would let him off this time. Suyan thought the top dog of West Gangbuk High probably would not go back on his word. So he took out the silver card and bronze card he had just received. The silver card could restore his stamina once per day, while the bronze card could release a high-pitched sound capable of intimidating an enemy. Since Suyan could not escape either way, he figured it was better to strike first and take the beating afterward. But unexpectedly, his current F-rank jab could not even touch Hajun. Instead, Hajun knocked Suyan out cold with a single heavy punch. 2.5 minutes later, Suyan finally woke up. Looking at Hajun in front of him, Suyan immediately regretted throwing that punch. But just as Suyan got up and prepared to keep getting beaten, Hajun suddenly invited him to the restroom for a smoke. Just like that, Suyan was brought into the middle of the delinquent group, and Hajun, as their leader, even personally handed him a cigarette. Suyan quickly waved his hands and said he did not smoke. He had thought Hajun was a completely ruthless monster, but in the next moment, Hajun suddenly apologized to him. Hajun said Suyan was much better at fighting than he had expected, and that he had also trained in boxing for a long time. But when Hajun first started, he was not even half as good as Suyan was now. After returning home, Suyan still could not understand what Hajun was trying to do. Was Hajun just acting friendly for now, only so he could beat him up even worse tomorrow? Unfortunately, there were no active quests right now, which meant Suyan could not earn any new cards during this time. Come to think of it, besides gold, silver, and bronze cards, there seemed to be even stronger cards out there. But so far, every card he had obtained seemed to be related to fighting. The next day, when Suyan returned to class and sat down, he was already prepared to get beaten up. Before class even started, Changdong came looking for him. Suyan instantly got into a fighting stance, but Changdong only told him that Hajun would be waiting for him after school. Before Suyan could ask what was going on, Changdong hurried away. Suyan immediately thought he was done for. Without any new cards, how could he possibly be a match for Hajun? That night, Suyan arrived at the karaoke room they had agreed on. After all, showing up on time to get beaten was probably the smartest choice he could make. There, Suyan saw many well-known students from school. All he could think about was how to turn 2 punches into just one. But suddenly, Chaerin looked at him in surprise and asked why he had come to a place like this. Then Hajun invited the newcomer, Suyeon, to sing a song first. Suyeon knew absolutely nothing about singing, but this was the perfect chance to use the high note ability from his bronze card. Unexpectedly, his singing stunned even Karin, who had millions of followers. The girls nearby could not help looking over as well. Even Hajun was amazed by how good Suyeon's singing was. Suyeon shyly asked everyone what was going on. Chaerin had originally thought he would just sing some random anime theme song, but even the girls were shocked by the final high note in Suyeon's song. Suyeon was confused. Why were they not beating him up? Why were they suddenly begging him to teach them how to sing? At that moment, Suyeon finally understood that Hajun was actually a kind person. After what happened yesterday, Suyeon gained a little more hope for his life. Hajun told him that if anything happened, he could come to him, and he also said he would secretly protect his buddy Rooster. But Suyeon hadn't gotten very far before he ran into Haejin again. The moment he encountered Haejin, the main quest of the system officially began. Suyeon stared at the main quest in shock. This time, the reward was a platinum card he had never seen before. But the terrifying part was that the system wanted him to defeat Hajun-gu, the top dog of West Gangbuk High. Suyeon was completely dumbfounded. With nothing but an F-rank jab, he could not even touch Haejin. Yet now the system wanted him to defeat Haejin within 3 days. Although the main quest seemed impossible right now, side quests would also open while the main quest was active, giving him more chances to obtain combat cards. By lunchtime, Suyeon was completely lost in thought. Hajun had a terrible reputation, but after actually spending time with him, Suyeon felt that he was a genuinely kind person. Why would he fight someone who cared about him and looked after him? Suyeon suddenly started thinking about giving up on the quest. After all, he was basically Haejin's friend now, and people around him would no longer bully him for no reason. But when Suyeon went to look for Hajun, he saw Changdong getting brutally beaten by him. No matter how desperately Changdong begged for mercy, Hajun remained completely unmoved. Seeing Haejin act like this left Suyeon completely disillusioned. Chaerin, standing nearby, said, "Don't tell me you actually thought he was a good person. Haejin is a complete villain." The reason Changdong was getting beaten was that the money he had collected did not meet the quota. Only then did Suyeon realize that he had also paid them plenty of money before. But Chaerin told him that all of that money would eventually end up in Hajun's pocket. Sure, he might seem like he's taking care of you now, but the day you fail to bring in enough money, you'll end up just like Changdong. At that moment, Haejin also noticed Suyeon watching from the side. Suyeon got straight to the point and asked why Haejin was taking care of him. Hajun answered that it was because Suyeon knew how to box. Before meeting Suyeon, everyone here had been nothing but useless trash with pathetic fighting skills. In the end, Haejin only valued Suyeon because he could box. But if Suyeon gave up on the quest, his jab card would disappear too. And once he could no longer fight, he would be thrown away all the same. So in the end, Suyeon still had no choice but to walk down this path. That night, Suyeon secretly tried to raise the level of his jab, but even after completely exhausting himself, his jab level did not increase at all. Right now, the only cards Suyeon had left were the stamina recovery card and the high note card. Even combined, those two cards might not be enough to defeat Hajun. Just then, a group of delinquents suddenly came looking for him and politely asked if Suyeon could spare them some bus fare. But seeing the way they surrounded him, Suyeon immediately understood what they really meant. Before they could react, he fired a jab straight at one guy's face. And at that moment, his jab proficiency finally began to rise. Suyeon instantly understood that he needed real combat to raise his jab level. And right then, his jab rose from F rank to E rank. Seeing that these clueless thugs still dared to extort him, Suyeon launched a lightning-fast jab straight into one guy's jaw. After leveling up, Suyeon could clearly feel the difference. His jab seemed faster, and the power behind it had grown stronger too. At this level, maybe he really could defeat Hajun. Seeing one delinquent already collapsed on the ground, the remaining 4 got ready to teach Suyeon a lesson. At that moment, the quest system automatically opened a side quest. If he defeated 5 delinquents, he would receive 1 silver card. As the guys in front of him rushed in all at once, Suyeon calmly shifted his footwork, then took his stance, ready to take down the entire group. Suyeon struck first and immediately dropped one of them. Although one enemy was already down, 4 more were still chasing him from behind. If he got surrounded here, it would be over. He had to find the right chance to split the fight into one-on-one battles. So Suyeon led the 4 of them into a dark, narrow alley. Seeing Suyeon walk straight into what looked like a trap, the delinquents could not help grinning. With his stamina drained, Suyeon immediately used his stamina recovery silver card. Seizing that opening, the blonde thug instantly lunged at him. But what the thug did not expect was that Suyeon's jab also came with a counterattack ability. The moment he stunned the blonde thug, Suyeon immediately shifted to the right, then hammered him with 4 jabs that overwhelmed him like a constricting python. The remaining 3 were confused. Wasn't this kid supposed to be out of stamina? Now that Soo-yeon was getting more familiar with his jab, he could attack almost however he wanted. In an instant, Soo-yeon activated his high note card and stunned the group. Then his precise jab slammed into the delinquents' jaws one after another, and the side quest was quickly completed. On top of that, Soo-yeon also fulfilled a hidden condition by winning the entire fight without being hit once. After meeting the hidden condition, his reward was upgraded from a silver card to a gold card. Somehow, running away earlier had accidentally helped him complete the hidden requirement. Soo-yeon excitedly shouted the command to open the card, but when Soo-yeon saw what the card could do, he suddenly became confused. The next day, Soo-yeon grew nervous the moment he returned to his seat. He had to defeat Haejin within 8 hours, but the only cards he currently had were his level 1 jab and the stamina recovery card. Adding the high note card and the gold card he had earned yesterday, he only had 4 cards in total. Could he really defeat Haejin-gu, the top dog of West Gangbuk High, with just 4 cards? If he lost, he would go back to being the pathetic loser he used to be. Gido, sitting beside him, noticed that Soo-yeon did not look well. Looking at Gido, who cared about him every day and even took beatings for him, Soo-yeon could not help feeling that he had truly made a good friend. Right after that, Haejin walked into the classroom and invited Soo-yeon to go to the school store with him. As Soo-yeon stood up, he kept wondering how he could possibly start a fight with Haejin. Just then, 2 students happened to return from the school store. One of them accidentally got ice cream on Haejun's clothes. The student immediately apologized to Haejin. But Haejin-gu, the top dog of West Gangbuk High, was not someone just anyone could mess with. The next moment, that student was brutally taught a lesson. Soo-yeon stared coldly at Haejin. He said the guy might deserve to get hit, but acting like this just made Haejin a piece of trash. Haejin frowned and asked if Soo-yeon was trying to provoke him. The instant Haejin raised his hand and moved toward him, Soo-yeon was already prepared to use the gold card he had just obtained, and that confidence came entirely from the card's ability. But in the end, Haejin's hand only landed gently on Soo-yeon's head. He thought Soo-yeon was angry because Haejin had bullied one of his classmates. Besides, since they were friends, why would friends need to fight? To make it up to him, Haejin suggested taking Soo-yeon out for something good to eat. But the news that Soo-yeon had challenged Haejin still spread throughout the grade. Everyone was shocked that someone actually dared to provoke the top dog of West Gangbuk High. At this point, Soo-yeon no longer knew how to complete the quest. Haejin seemed to genuinely see him as a friend. No matter how cruel and dangerous the rumors made Haejin sound, he seemed to truly like Soo-yeon. With barely any time left on the quest, Soo-yeon might really end up doing nothing until the timer ran out. Gido, standing nearby, knew that Soo-yeon was worrying about Haejin again. Seeing Soo-yeon look so upset, Gido thought he had been bullied again. So Gido made up his mind and quietly left on his own. Not long after Gido left, Karin came looking for Soo-yeon. Karin asked in confusion, "Do you really want to beat up Haejin? Don't tell me you're actually angry because he bullied someone from your class." But Soo-yeon asked Karin in return why she even considered Haejin a friend. After all, Karin had also helped him before when he was getting beaten. Even though Karin hung out with them, she had never bullied anyone herself, which was why Soo-yeon felt that she was actually a kind person. But Karin told Soo-yeon that he had better not cross the line. After all, their relationship was nowhere near close enough to call them friends. Then suddenly, someone rushed over and told Soo-yeon that something terrible had happened. Gido had gone to confront Haejun for Soo-yeon's sake. At the same time, Gido had already arrived in front of Haejun's underlings. One of them immediately recognized him as Soo-yeon's little follower. They mocked him, asking if he thought that just because Soo-yeon was Haejin's friend, that made him Haejin's friend too. Besides, just looking at that old man face of yours pisses me off. But before the punch could land, Haejin suddenly told them to stop. Haejin coldly asked Gido what he wanted. Gido gathered his courage and begged Haejin to stop bullying Soo-yeon. But before Gido could finish speaking, Haejin gathered his strength and slapped him so hard he went flying. The 3 guys beside him cried out in shock, saying Haejin was completely insane. But Haejin said Soo-yeon was his friend, and the kind of person he hated most was someone like Gido. Haejin said the world had levels, and people were supposed to stick to their own. You say I'm bullying Soo-yeon, but the one really bullying him is you. If Soo-yeon stays around someone like you, you'll only drag him down. But Gido said Soo-yeon would never become friends with someone for a reason like that. Right as he said that, a jab slammed straight into Haejin's face. Haejin's underlings stared in shock at Soo-yeon, who had suddenly thrown the punch. Haejin also looked at Soo-yeon in confusion, unable to understand why he had attacked him. Then Soo-yeon looked at Gido seriously and said that if Gido had not been part of his school life, he never would have made it this far. The news spread through the school almost instantly, because the pathetic loser Soo-yeon Kim had actually started fighting the top dog of West Gangbuk High. Seeing Soo-yeon stand up for him, Gido froze. He knew that if no one stopped this, Soo-yeon would be destroyed. Haejin asked in confusion, "Aren't we friends?" Soo-yeon coldly replied, Friends? The only friend I have at this school is Guido. Then Suyeon declared that he would defeat Hajun in 5 seconds. The students nearby all thought Suyeon had lost his mind. Beating the top dog of West Gangbuk High was nothing but a fantasy. But Suyeon still had one unused gold card, so he decided to test the waters first with his upgraded jab. Unexpectedly, even after leveling up, his jab still could not touch Hajun. No matter how many jabs Suyeon threw, he could not land a single hit. Although he could still barely keep Hajun occupied for now, Suyeon knew that if this continued, he would definitely lose. Changdong, watching from the side, also noticed the problem. Suyeon's weakness was that he only knew one move, the jab. In boxing, once your opponent figures out your move, it becomes easy to counter. Looking at Suyeon on the ground, Hajun finally understood. Suyeon really only knew how to jab, but Suyeon kept muttering under his breath that all he needed was 5 seconds. Hajun snapped at him, asking if he had lost his mind and really thought he could beat him with nothing but a jab. In truth, Suyeon had already thought about this at home. Even though his jab had grown stronger, there was no way he could defeat Hajun with that move alone. That was why he had to save the gold card from the side quest as his final trump card. The gold card was called Transcend Limits, and it could increase the user's weight by 100 kilograms for 5 seconds. If he combined that with jujitsu or a grapple, he might really be able to turn the fight around at the last second. At that moment, Suyeon charged toward Hajun like a madman, desperately trying to get close. But all that met him were Hajun's heavy punches, one after another. Changdong could also tell what Suyeon was trying to do. He wanted to go for a grapple, but with such a huge difference in physique, how could that possibly work? To use the 5 seconds from Transcend Limits, Suyeon had to get close to Hajun no matter what. The next instant, Suyeon activated his high note card and forced his way toward Hajun. But what greeted him was still one heavy punch after another. Even so, Suyeon could not stop. Even if he kept getting beaten, he had to make Hajun tired, because the moment an opponent let their guard down was exactly when he could turn the fight around. The instant Suyeon finally managed to grab onto Hajun, he immediately activated the stamina recovery skill from his bronze card. Hajun froze on the spot and cursed under his breath. As his underlings, they knew exactly what it meant when Hajun started cursing, because he really might tear Suyeon apart. But when Hajun reached out to grab Suyeon, he suddenly realized something was wrong. Right now, Suyeon felt as heavy as a giant boulder. After using the card, Suyeon's body weight had shot up to 156 kilograms. Since his weight had reached 156 kilograms, his strength rose to match it, meaning Suyeon now had the raw power of a 156 kilogram body. The next second, Hajun was slammed hard into the ground. Suyeon immediately took off his jacket, then quickly shifted his footwork and adjusted his center of gravity. After that, he smashed down on Hajun with the overwhelming weight of 156 kilograms. Hajun never expected the situation to turn out like this. In the final second of Transcend Limits, Suyeon unleashed several punches and finished Hajun off completely. Once the Transcend Limits skill ended, Hajun admitted that he had lost completely. At that moment, the notification for completing the main quest also appeared. The stunned expressions of the students around them did not fade for a long time. Even K-Ran had not expected things to turn out this way. By the next day, the students were still talking about it non-stop. After all, who could have imagined that Hajun would lose, and that he would be taken down by Suyeon, the guy everyone used to call a loser? Suddenly, the students in class started shouting that the top dog of West Gangbuk High was coming. After what happened yesterday, Suyeon had somehow become the new top dog. But right now, Suyeon only cared about the platinum card he had earned from the quest. After working this hard to get a platinum card, it had to be stronger than a gold card like Transcend Limits, right? So Suyeon activated the platinum card in his hand. The next second, a platinum card called Peak appeared before him. Suyeon immediately felt frustrated. Why was it not an attack card? He had expected some kind of technical card even better than his jab. Then again, this card might still have some unexpected use. After dealing with the card, Suyeon walked out with Guido. But the moment Suyeon stepped out, people started calling him a cunning mastermind, saying he had pretended to be a loser to hide his strength before secretly finding a way to finish off his opponent. Even Guido behind him was rumored to be Suyeon's top enforcer. These rumors, spreading from person to person, were only causing Suyeon more trouble. But before he could walk much farther, Suyeon accidentally bumped into someone. When he looked up, he realized this was probably someone he could not afford to mess with. Unexpectedly, after learning that he was Suyeon Kim, the first-year leader named Hyundong Lee actually greeted him respectfully. Suyeon had no idea what was going on. Hyundong explained that Suyeon was now the new top dog of West Gangbuk High. So as an underclassman, he had naturally come to greet him. But Suyeon did not want to become any kind of top dog. He just wanted to live an ordinary school life. But unexpectedly, Hyundong asked Suyeon if he was planning to abandon them. Suyeon immediately snapped at them, saying he had no intention of hanging out with them at all. Even now, Suyeon still could not figure out what these guys were really after. But Guido knew their true goal was to unify Gangbuk. Right now, Gangbuk was basically a battlefield. with the 4 strongest high schools constantly expanding their influence. Hajun had no interest in unification, but Hyundong wanted to follow Suyeon and unify Gangbuk together. Just then, the main quest suddenly appeared. This quest was called Unify West Gangbuk High, and it was split into 3 stages. If Suyeon gave up or failed the quest, all his rewards would be taken back by the system. In other words, Suyeon would go right back to being the pathetic loser he used to be. With no other choice, Suyeon called back the 3 guys who had already walked away. Then he said he had only been testing them earlier, and that from now on he would be taking over West Gangbuk High. The moment the 3 of them heard Suyeon say that, they immediately started cheering. After returning to his seat, Suyeon could not help feeling a chill run down his spine. Every time things reached this point, the quest system always jumped out and caused more trouble. Then again, he still had not used that platinum card yet. While Suyeon was spacing out, Jae-in suddenly sat down in front of him. After all, rumors about Suyeon had already spread across the entire school. Apparently, he was now planning to take over West Gangbuk High and unify all of Gangbuk. But all of a sudden, Jae-in felt that the way Suyeon was looking at her seemed strange. It turned out, Suyeon had secretly activated his peak card. Jae-in immediately felt an uncomfortable sensation run through her body. Then her body gradually grew warm, and her face began to flush. But the actual effect was completely different from what Suyeon had expected, because the peak card could only let him view the target's status window. Still, Jae-in said she felt extremely uncomfortable just now, and before Suyeon could explain, she slapped him across the face. After Jae-in left, Suyeon checked his own status window, but to his surprise, his current stats were not even better than Jae-in's. After lunch break, Hyundong Lee and the other 2 came looking for Suyeon. Hyundong handed him a blood-stained envelope and said this was the money collected for the month. Suyeon immediately snapped at Guido, asking why he had accepted something like this again. But to Hyundong, it sounded like Suyeon was angry because they had collected too little. At this point, Suyeon had no choice but to check Hyundong's status first. And sure enough, this guy was nothing more than a simple street thug. Suyeon silently made up his mind that he absolutely could not get tangled up with someone like him. But Hyundong told him that he had to attend the ceremony for the new top dog of West Gangbuk High. Right as he said that, the main quest updated as well. Unable to resist the pressure from the system quest, Suyeon eventually took his place as the new top dog at the West High Assembly. Hyundong began explaining the plan to unify Gangbuk. First, East Gangbuk High was full of lunatics who caused trouble all day, and the top dog of East Gangbuk High was an absolute madman. Then there was South Gangbuk High. Compared to the East, they were practically model students. But the top dog of South Gangbuk High was actually a kind person, so they could not allow the South to take over West Gangbuk High, especially now that they had already started being wary of Suyeon. As for Suyeon, rumors now painted him as a ruthless monster who had beaten Hansen half to death. The new top dog of West Gangbuk High, Suyeon Kim. Suyeon angrily asked why a rumor like that even existed, then declared that from now on, he would stop fighting completely, or even stranger rumors would keep popping up. But Hyundong asked him what they were supposed to do about the upcoming Gangbuk assembly. But unexpectedly, Suyeon was dead set on becoming an ordinary student. When Dahyun came home from school, she immediately questioned Suyeon about what he had done, because everyone at school was calling her the sister of Hansan Suyeon Kim. She even warned him that if he attended the Gangbuk assembly, she would tell their mom everything he had been doing. Meanwhile, over at East Gangbuk High, an underling was reporting that Hajun had been defeated. But before he could even finish, Ji-ha-han, the top dog of East Gangbuk High, kicked him so hard he went flying. Jae-ha told his underling that he did not need to report things like that to him in the future. At the same time, South Gangbuk High had also heard about the newly appointed Suyeon Kim. Since the Gangbuk assembly was about to begin, they would soon get to see what the infamous Hansen Suyeon Kim was really about. Meanwhile, Hyundong Lee was still wondering whether Suyeon had been testing him. But in the next second, Suyeon's call came in, because Suyeon's next quest was to attend the Gangbuk assembly. And this time, the rewards were so generous that he had no reason not to go. Today was the day of the annual Gangbuk assembly. Before leaving, Suyeon used the peak skill on Guido, only to discover that Guido's potential was actually S rank. And just like that, the 3 representatives of West Gangbuk High officially set off for the Gangbuk assembly. Suyeon never expected the meeting place to be an abandoned construction site. Hyundong said the place was almost completely cut off from the outside world. So even if someone died inside, no one would find out. Suyeon immediately started panicking. There had to be a lot of terrifying guys inside. Was he going to get beaten up the moment he walked in? But unexpectedly, the people from South Gangbuk High had already arrived, and they recognized Suyeon Kim, the new top dog of West Gangbuk High, at a glance. The other side introduced himself as Seok Kang, the top dog of South Gangbuk High, then smiled and said that since they were the same age, maybe they could become friends. The people from South Gangbuk High looked surprisingly kind, so Suyeon felt like he had been worried for nothing. But Hyundong warned him not to be fooled by that friendly smile. He did not know what Seok Kang was really thinking, but a genuinely kind person would never become a top dog for no reason. In fact, Seok might be the most dangerous guy among all the Gangbuk high schools. But as Sooyeon looked at Seok's gentle smile, he could not understand how someone like that could possibly be dangerous. Then again, the quest to attend the Gangbuk assembly had not been completed yet. Sooyeon was looking forward to seeing what kind of ability he would receive this time. Just then, the top dog of East Gangbuk High, Jae-ha Han, arrived with his underlings. The first thing he said was a mocking remark about how the annoying guy was here too. Seok calmly replied that talking like that between friends would hurt their feelings. With one glance, Sooyeon could tell that Jae-ha was extremely dangerous. Sooyeon and the other two did not even have the courage to meet his eyes. At that moment, the quest window announced that the quest had been completed. Sooyeon received 1 gold card and 10 bronze cards. He immediately stood up and told the other two to leave quickly. But suddenly, Jae-ha grabbed Sooyeon tightly by the throat and said that he had come to the Gangbuk assembly specifically for him. Since the rumored handsome Sooyeon Kim had defeated Haejin, why not try taking him down too? Sooyeon felt like he had already figured out how the quest window worked. Without even thinking, he knew the system would pop up with a quest to defeat this guy in the next second, just like it had when he met Haejin. So to keep the quest from triggering, Sooyeon decided not to move a muscle. But to everyone else, this scene looked terrifying. The people nearby could not help marveling that Sooyeon was not even afraid of Jae-hee. The others kept wondering what Sooyeon's unfocused stare meant. Was he looking for Jae-ha's weakness? So the rumors really were true. This was handsome Sooyeon Kim, the man who would even go after someone's family to achieve his goal. A thought suddenly appeared in Seok's mind. He would wait until the two of them wore each other down, then take advantage of the opening. And just like that, Sooyeon stood frozen in place. Jae-ha said Sooyeon was the first person who had ever dared to challenge him like this. But just then, one of Jae-ha's underlings told them not to fight right now. Unexpectedly, Jae-ha suddenly grabbed the underling by the head. After all, he was just a small fry. Yet he dared to interrupt Jae-ha while he was speaking. But the underling quickly reminded Jae-ha that Seok was also here. If Jae-ha and Sooyeon fought now, Seok might wait until both of them were exhausted and then ambush them. Besides, today was not the only chance to deal with Sooyeon. After hearing that, Jae-ha turned around and walked away in annoyance. Seok smiled and said that today's Gangbuk assembly would end here. Most importantly, the people from North Gangbuk High had not shown up today. Sooyeon could not help feeling happy. He did not get beaten up, and he still received his reward. Taking advantage of that moment, Sooyeon immediately used the peak skill on both Sook and Jae-hee. But unexpectedly, he failed to view both of their status windows. The next day, Sooyeon dragged his exhausted body to school. He had spent the entire night thinking about the Gangbuk assembly, so he barely got any sleep. More importantly, his peak skill had failed. Apparently, his level was too low to view them. Did that mean the skill worked based on the difference in strength? If so, then Seok and Jae-ha were probably both much stronger than him. Sooyeon's heroic story from the Gangbuk assembly quickly spread again. The rumor claimed that when Sooyeon faced Jae-ha, he instantly suppressed him with Dragon Tiger Fist. Sooyeon did not even need to think about it. This had to be Han-dong spreading rumors again. Sooyeon felt like he was about to lose his mind. Some people were even saying that his Dragon Tiger Fist was a secret technique he had inherited from a master. After suffering through all of this stress, Sooyeon eventually got sick. With a high fever that would not go down, he could only stay in the school infirmary. Sooyeon said this was the perfect time to start his own personal card opening session. He began with the gold card, and after activating it, a gold card called Cardmaster appeared before him. This gold card allowed him to combine and dismantle his remaining cards. After Sooyeon gave the command to open all the bronze cards, 10 ordinary combat bronze cards appeared in front of him. The only one that seemed useful was lower strength boost. Since the remaining cards did not look impressive, Sooyeon decided to combine the two most useless bronze cards. A short while later, a brand new silver card appeared before him. The new silver card was a boxing technique card called Straight Punch. Sooyeon sighed with relief. Other than his jab, he had finally obtained a new boxing move. Then Sooyeon quickly tested out the Straight Punch. His mom had always told them not to gamble ever since they were little, but the profit from Cardmaster seemed even better than he expected. Besides, skill cards probably did not count as gambling, right? With that thought, Sooyeon used 4 bronze cards for another combination, but the result of the fusion left him frozen in place. Because the effects of those 2 silver cards had absolutely nothing to do with his current situation. Who would have the time to play soccer while getting beaten up? Sooyeon wondered if he should just keep the silver cards for now. What if he combined them into a useless gold card? But then again, why was he worrying about that? As long as he combined them into a good gold card, everything would be fine. As Sooyeon activated Cardmaster's fusion ability once again, a gold card appeared right in front of him. Sooyeon did not even dare to look at what he had created, but driven by curiosity, he slowly opened his eyes. The card he had created was actually a gold card called Please Master. Sooyeon blushed and said that this was the real fighting card. But when Sooyeon slapped himself across the face, nothing happened at all. Right then, the main quest suddenly appeared. Soo-yeon looked at the new main quest with excitement, because if he wanted to keep combining cards, he needed to obtain even more of them. This time, the quest was to recruit 4 members, and the reward was 1 gold card. To Soo-yeon, recruiting members did not seem that difficult. As long as someone agreed to become his member, the quest should be completed. Looking at it that way, this quest seemed way too easy. Right after that, Hyundong came to visit Soo-yeon with some medicine. Soo-yeon casually asked him if he wanted to become one of his members. The medicine in Hyundong's hand instantly dropped to the floor. He asked in shock if Soo-yeon was finally starting to recruit members to unify Gangbook. Hyundong respectfully greeted Soo-yeon, but then again, wouldn't randomly recruiting people only make things more complicated? That night, Soo-yeon lay on a bench and thought about it for a long time. He had to find people who could be recognized by the system, and preferably people with strong stats. Just then, a shadow suddenly fell over Soo-yeon. It turned out Charon also lived in this neighborhood. Charon could not understand why Soo-yeon was sitting out here alone so late at night. But not wanting to get involved, Charon said goodbye and started to leave. Right then, Soo-yeon suddenly remembered something and asked Charon if she could slap him, because Soo-yeon wanted to test the effect of this weirdly perverted skill. But Charon thought he had discovered her little secret preference, so Charon asked if she needed to curse at him while hitting him. Soo-yeon said that if he got hit, something good might happen. After hearing his confirmation, Charon immediately prepared to strike. But just then, a voice suddenly interrupted them. A group of delinquents said that Soo-yeon apparently liked getting hit. Soo-yeon immediately recognized them as the guys he had beaten last time. Were they really waiting here just to get revenge on him? Right then, the quest window issued a side quest. If he defeated 5 delinquents and 1 boss, he would receive 1 silver card. Soo-yeon had already beaten those guys before, so this time, he only needed to defeat their boss. Just then, a tall figure walked out from behind them. He was Sang-hyuk Park from East Gangbuk High. Soo-yeon immediately used the peak skill on him. Although Sang-hyuk was not very smart, his strength and endurance were much higher than Soo-yeon's. After all, Soo-yeon had never met anyone at school with B-rank strength before. But just as Soo-yeon was about to strike first, Charon suddenly stepped in front of him. Only then did Soo-yeon remember that Charon was standing beside him. Come to think of it, Charon had a lot of connections. If she could settle this, Soo-yeon would not have to get beaten up. But unexpectedly, the guys did not know Charon at all. They even suggested dragging her away for some private fun. Seeing Charon about to walk straight into danger, Soo-yeon immediately stepped forward. But what greeted him was a heavy punch from Sang-hyuk. Looking at Soo-yeon, who was clutching his stomach and unable to move, Sang-hyuk mocked him, saying, "Weren't you supposed to have cleared West Gangbuk High? Or did you just clear out the bathroom?" Charon hurriedly asked Soo-yeon if he was okay, but Soo-yeon kept muttering about his stomach. Charon thought Soo-yeon had hurt his stomach, but in reality, Soo-yeon felt strangely comfortable. For some reason, getting hit actually felt good. In fact, the more Sang-hyuk hit Soo-yeon, the better his body felt. At that moment, Soo-yeon had already taken the 5 hits needed to trigger the skill. The lucky effect of Please Master activated, randomly increasing one of Soo-yeon's stats. In an instant, Soo-yeon's fist appeared right in front of Sang-hyuk's eyes. The power behind that punch sent Sang-hyuk flying several meters away, because Soo-yeon's strength had just risen from E rank to C rank. At the same time, Soo-yeon could finally prove one thing to Charon. Getting hit really did feel amazing, and with his current overall ability, he might actually be able to fight Sang-hyuk head-on. Soo-yeon quickly tightened his undershirt. The next second, he launched a jab at one of the enemies. Soo-yeon thought that continuing to fight like this was not a good idea. Just like last time, he needed to find a narrow place and split the fight into one-on-one battles. But unexpectedly, the jab he had only meant to use as a distraction instantly knocked the guy out. So this was the power granted by the Please Master card. At that moment, Soo-yeon completely gave up on the idea of splitting the fight into one-on-one battles. He told Karen, who was watching from the side, to close her eyes first, because this kind of scene was not something a girl should watch. With his current strength, he should be able to defeat Sang-hyuk Park, but after throwing a punch, Soo-yeon froze on the spot, because his strength had suddenly dropped from C rank back to E rank. Soo-yeon immediately realized that too much time had passed, causing the card's effect to expire. That meant he had to get hit again to recharge the card. But unexpectedly, no matter how many times Soo-yeon got hit, the Please Master card showed no reaction at all. Realizing something was wrong, Soo-yeon could only ask his opponent to pause for a moment. Come to think of it, did this card need some special condition before it could activate? But if he lost here, Charon behind him would also be in danger. At that moment, Sang-hyuk Park noticed Charon running over and said that once he finished dealing with Soo-yeon, he would come play with her next. But just as Sang-hyuk was about to finish Soo-yeon off, he froze in confusion because Soo-yeon's straight punch suddenly appeared right in front of him. The heavy, powerful straight punch slammed directly into Sang-hyuk's face. At that moment, Soo-yeon finally understood the key condition for stacking the 5 hits. The important part was the humiliation of getting beaten in front of a girl. Seeing that Sanghyuk still wanted to slam him even at the brink of defeat, Soo-yeon immediately activated Transcend Limits. Right now, Soo-yeon was as heavy as a giant boulder. With the power from Transcend Limits, plus the boost granted by the Please MasterCard, Soo-yeon's strength had reached a terrifying A rank. Soon, the notification for completing the side quest rang in his ears, and after finishing the side quest, Soo-yeon received 1 silver card. Although this card did not look very useful for team battles, it seemed like it might help in real life. But compared to that, Soo-yeon still had not completed the quest to recruit members. Finding someone at school with high combat ability was not easy, so maybe he should wait until his peak skill reached level 1 before searching for the right person. But unexpectedly, the strap on his perfectly normal slippers suddenly snapped, and Shireen just happened to walk past Soo-yeon at that exact moment. She slapped the pervert in front of her hard, while Soo-yeon hurriedly explained that it was an accident. Shireen snapped, asking if he was crazy, because now the entire school was saying the two of them were dating. Soo-yeon quickly waved his hands and tried to explain. After thinking about it for a moment, it was not hard to guess that Hyundong was behind this again. But just then, Soo-yeon suddenly felt a chill behind him. When he turned around, he realized it was Haejin, who had not come to school for several days. In the days that followed, whenever Soo-yeon had time, he would try to approach Haejin and start a conversation. But every time, Haejin responded with nothing but silence. Unexpectedly, the system suddenly issued a side quest. The objective was to recruit Haejin into his team. Soo-yeon immediately felt troubled. He had only fought Haejin not long ago, and now the system wanted him to bring Haejin onto his team. Although side quests could be abandoned, Soo-yeon could not bring himself to give up a quest card that could make him stronger. So Soo-yeon swallowed his pride and sincerely invited Hajun to join his team. Seeing that Hajun had no intention of responding at all, Soo-yeon could only stand there awkwardly and scratch his head. Fortunately, nothing happened this time. But unexpectedly, one of the underlings suddenly reported that Hyundong had been captured by the people from East Gangbuk High. Soo-yeon answered speechlessly, asking why they were coming to him instead of calling the police. When his underling asked whether they should gather their people, Soo-yeon simply said to handle it however they wanted, then turned around and left. But that scene happened to be seen by Haejin, who was passing by. At the same time, Guido asked Soo-yeon if it was really okay not to go, but Soo-yeon did not care at all. If it were not for the quest, he would not even bother getting involved in this mess. In fact, he thought it might be good for Hyundong to suffer a little this time. After all, Soo-yeon did not want to ruin his good mood today. Meanwhile, Hyundong had already been beaten half to death by the people from East Gangbuk High. As they punched and kicked him, they mocked him, saying he used to follow Haejin, and now he was shamelessly clinging to Soo-yeon. If Soo-yeon could not protect him either, who was he going to crawl to next? But Hyundong stubbornly replied that a smart bird chooses the right tree, and a loyal guy chooses the right boss. He had only chosen the person he wanted to follow. So what was wrong with that? Deep down, Hyundong knew Soo-yeon would never come to save him. So he simply shouted at Daesung Hwang to finish him off already. After hearing Hyundong's words, Daesung Hwang immediately handed him an iron pipe. He said he would give Hyundong the chance to attack first. Hearing that, Hyundong immediately swung the pipe into his stomach, but his attack landed on Daesung Hwang like a light scratch, and the man mocked Hyundong with complete disdain, asking if that was all he had. The next second, one of Daesung Hwang's underlings kicked Hyundong away. Hyundong lay on the ground, apologizing with guilt for bothering his boss these past few days. Then he quietly waited for the iron pipe to come down. But even after closing his eyes for 2.5 seconds, he still did not feel any pain. When he opened his eyes, Soo-yeon had already sent the pipe-wielding underling flying with a straight punch. At that moment, Daesung Hwang, who had been about to leave, suddenly stopped. Because his target, Soo-yeon Kim, had finally appeared. Soo-yeon roared at Hyundong, saying, "You're seriously annoying as hell. You bother me every single day, and now you've made me start caring about you." Right as he said that, Soo-yeon activated the peak skill and scanned everyone at the scene. Most of the people there seemed manageable, but Daesung Hwang's endurance was shockingly high. Could Soo-yeon's attacks really make up for such a huge gap in stats? Soo-yeon thought to himself that the height difference was massive, so maybe aiming for the face might work. Before the other side could react, Soo-yeon struck first with a straight punch, but the moment his fist landed, Soo-yeon froze, because Daesung Hwang's fat had completely absorbed the damage. Refusing to believe it, Soo-yeon attacked again, unleashing countless straight punches and jabs that overwhelmed him like a python. Seeing that he still could not break through, Soo-yeon instantly rushed straight for Daesung Hwang's face. But Daesung Hwang had already seen through his plan, and his heavy fist slammed towards Soo-yeon. Seeing this, Hyundong quickly warned him, "Boss, the size difference between you two is too big." But Soo-yeon looked completely confident, because he had a card that could make up for the difference in size. But when Soo-yeon tried to activate Transcend Limits, the system told him the skill had failed. It could only be used once per day, and there was still 1 hour before it could be used again. Only then did Soo-yeon suddenly remember that he had already used it yesterday when dealing with Songhyuk Park. The next second, Soo-yeon was slammed hard into the ground by Dae-sung Hwang. Dae-sung Hwang mocked him, asking if he really had the strength to be the top dog of West High. Seeing how boring Soo-yeon was, Dae-sung Hwang handed him over to his underlings. Right then, Hyundong immediately threw himself in front of Soo-yeon and roared that if they wanted to touch Soo-yeon, they would have to get through him first. After hearing that, the small fry did not hesitate and swung the pipe straight at Hyundong. But before the pipe could even swing down, the underling was kicked flying. The person who appeared was none other than the former top dog of West Gangbuk High, Hajun-gu. Hajun walked up to Soo-yeon and asked with a teasing look, "Back when you asked me to join you at school, what exactly did you mean? Did you think I was some idiot you could recruit that easily?" Soo-yeon quickly explained that if Hajun joined him, he would simply feel a lot safer. Hajun turned his head and muttered, "What a strange guy." Then he said, "Leave this small fry to me. I agree to join your group, Soo-yeon Kim." At that moment, the system announced that the side quest had been completed, and the reward was 1 silver card. Looking at the silver card in front of him, Soo-yeon froze. This was also Dae-sung Hwang's first time seeing Hajun in person, so he asked in a low voice if they should just start fighting. But Hajun said the person who would fight him was not Haejun, but Soo-yeon. Soo-yeon quickly tightened his undershirt and shoulder straps, then activated his recovery card to instantly refill his stamina. Right then, the system issued a new side quest, requiring Soo-yeon to combine and use different cards. If he completed it, he would receive 1 gold card. Dae-sung Hwang mocked him in confusion, asking what Soo-yeon thought tightening his shirt would even do. Right as he said that, Soo-yeon's strange pain-based skill began stacking. The 3rd hit, the 4th hit, and finally, on the 5th hit, the random boost from Please, Master successfully activated. At that moment, Soo-yeon was overjoyed inside and thought, "You're done." In an instant, Soo-yeon used his C-rank strength and threw a powerful straight punch. Unexpectedly, that punch forced Dae-sung Hwang back hard, leaving him shocked as he asked how Soo-yeon had suddenly gotten stronger. But in the next second, everyone at the scene froze. It turned out the card that changed Soo-yeon's eye level was actually a card that greatly increased his jump height. Right after that, Soo-yeon gathered his strength and leapt high into the air. In an instant, he used the silver card he had just obtained, Roundhouse Kick. The fully charged Roundhouse Kick smashed hard into Dae-sung Hwang's jaw. Soo-yeon remained graceful as he floated in the air, but Dae-sung Hwang, lying on the ground below, looked completely miserable. At that moment, the system announced that the side quest had been completed. Soo-yeon casually snapped his shoulder strap and gave the system the command to open his card. Although the quest reward was a gold card, he unexpectedly had to choose between 2 gold cards. After cleaning up the mess, Soo-yeon returned home. His entire body was aching, and all he wanted was to go back to his room and rest. But his younger sister Diane was casually dancing in the living room and filming a short video. Soo-yeon could not help complaining that she was being way too much and acting crazy at home again for no reason. But in the next second, his sister kicked him right back into his room. After returning to his room, Soo-yeon could only keep thinking about which of the 2 gold cards he should choose. The first gold card was called Card Eye, and it allowed him to know in advance what his next card would be. The second gold card was called Welcome, and after using it, he could trigger the highest level challenger card quest. But Soo-yeon was so exhausted that he fell asleep before he could make a choice. When he went to school the next day, Soo-yeon thanked Haejun and said that if Haejun had not arrived in time yesterday, he would have been finished. But Haejun looked completely speechless. Did Soo-yeon really have to say something like that in a place like this? To show his gratitude, Soo-yeon even offered to help Hajun with something. In any case, he was truly grateful that Haejun had agreed to join his team, and he said that Jae-ha probably would not come picking fights with him anymore, right? But unexpectedly, Haejun warned Soo-yeon to be especially careful of Jae-ha Han. People who did not know Jae-ha would only think he was some local thug, but Jae-ha's true ability had nothing to do with how he looked. In fact, he was the smartest top dog among all the high schools. After Dae-sung Hwang failed, Jae-ha did not punish him. Instead, he simply told Dae-sung Hwang to describe every single thing Soo-yeon had done during the fight, from his tone of voice to every habit he showed while moving. Nothing could be left out. Dae-sung Hwang had no choice but to rack his brain and recall every detail of Soo-yeon's movements. After hearing everything, Jae-ha had more or less figured it out. Soo-yeon had gone from looking half dead to suddenly moving like nothing had happened, and then he had used a kicking technique he had never shown before. Jae-ha had already realized that something special was going on with Soo-yeon. Meanwhile, over at West Gangbuk High, Soo-yeon's underlings were lined up in 2 rows, congratulating him on his victory, because the way Soo-yeon defeated Dae-sung Hwang made it look like he had completely devoured him. They said his new nickname was now Man-Eating Hansen Soo-yeon Kim. Unfortunately, Dae-sung Hwang was only the 14th ranked small fry in the city, so he did not control any territory in East Gangbuk High. Soo-yeon wondered how things had ended up like this. Was the system really trying to make him unify all of Gangbook? And once this quest ended, what would come next? Was he supposed to keep doing quests for the rest of his life? Although giving up Card Eye was a real shame, Soo-yeon had to know where these quests were coming from. That was why he had to choose the challenger card that wanted to meet him. But the moment Soo-yeon shouted the command to use the welcome card, everyone around him suddenly realized that Soo-yeon had disappeared. And Soo-yeon also noticed that there was no one around him anymore. Soo-yeon anxiously started searching for the people who had been beside him. But now, not only was there no one near him, even the entire school had become completely empty. Soo-yeon ran around like a madman, desperately trying to escape this strange situation. But when Soo-yeon rushed out of the school, he froze, because standing before him was a majestic challenger card. The card said, "You must have a lot of questions. From now on, ask whatever you want. I will give you all the answers." Soo-yeon roared. "Who is issuing these quests? And why did you choose me?" After hearing his questions, the card said that it would now reveal the truth behind everything. The card reminded Soo-yeon, "Don't you think this is an opportunity? Your eyesight has improved, your height has increased, and the life you once hated has already started to change. But all you have used so far are gold cards. Are you really satisfied with just this level of power? Aren't you curious about the unknown cards above platinum and just how powerful they might be?" Soo-yeon suddenly woke up during the West High Assembly. It turned out that while he was using the welcome card, everyone else only saw him sleeping. Soo-yeon finally realized that this might be an opportunity he would never get again. He told Hyun-dong that he seemed to be getting interested in this gangbok challenge. Over the next few days, Soo-yeon kept raising the experience level of his observation card. Although he kept suffering punishments during the process, after all his effort, the observation skill finally reached level 1. Soo-yeon could not wait to see what had changed after the upgrade. The moment he turned around, he happened to run into Kirin passing by. The upgraded observation card could now check quite a few of the target's stats and abilities. As Soo-yeon walked alone through an alley, he looked at the cards in his hand and began thinking. With his current cards alone, defeating Jae-ha was impossible. He still did not know Seok's true strength, but he had already experienced how terrifying Jae-ha was. So before getting stronger, he needed to avoid meeting Jae-ha as much as possible. But the moment that thought crossed his mind, Jae-ha suddenly appeared in front of Soo-yeon. Before Soo-yeon could react, Jae-ha kicked him hard in the stomach, and that single kick was enough to make Soo-yeon feel like he could not breathe. Jae-ha said, "Aren't we close enough to greet each other now? Why aren't you fighting back? I thought you were good with your legs. Or does the famous Soo-yeon Kim only know how to run now?" Jae-ha could not understand how Soo-yeon had managed to defeat Dae-sung Hwang. Seeing how bad the situation was, Soo-yeon immediately activated his observation skill, but the result made Soo-yeon's heart sink. Jae-ha actually had 2 stats above S rank. The gap between Jae-ha's stats and Soo-yeon's was simply massive. Right then, the quest window suddenly issued a side quest: defeat Jae-ha Han, and he would receive 1 platinum card. Soo-yeon's expression tightened, and he quickly said they should fight another day. In a deserted place like this, even if Jae-ha won, it would not mean anything. After all, how could a battle between West High and East High happen in such a messy place? As expected, Jae-ha took the bait. He asked coldly when Soo-yeon wanted to fight. Soo-yeon told him not to worry, and that he would contact him when he had time. The next second, Jae-ha turned and left, only saying that they would meet again when the time came. But as Soo-yeon stared at Jae-ha's back, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. Even if they fought another day, he still had no chance of winning. In an instant, Soo-yeon used his Rise card. After all, Jae-ha's endurance was only A rank right now. Soo-yeon planned to activate Transcend Limits, build up power, and then land a roundhouse kick. But unexpectedly, Jae-ha easily dodged the attack from behind. Jae-ha mockingly apologized to Soo-yeon, then kicked him hard while he was still in the air, because even if he died, he would never let his guard down. Jae-ha found it strange. Soo-yeon's footwork was so messy, yet his technique was incredibly strong. At that moment, the system window announced that the side quest had failed, but immediately after that, a new notification appeared. After losing for the first time against an unbeatable enemy, Soo-yeon had fulfilled a hidden condition and obtained 1 diamond card. 2.5 hours later, Soo-yeon woke up in a daze. Hyun-dong leaned in with concern and asked if he was okay. He said Soo-yeon had collapsed in the alley, and he had brought him back. Everyone had heard that Jae-ha only won because he shamelessly ambushed him. Soo-yeon let out a long sigh. He knew he had lost completely, without even the slightest chance to fight back. This was the first time Soo-yeon had felt such an overwhelming gap. He could defeat Dae-sung Hwang, but against Jae-ha, he was completely helpless. In terms of strength alone, it was the difference between B rank and S rank. Soo-yeon quietly wondered if the system grouped all attack methods under the strength stat. Haejin, standing nearby, said Soo-yeon was lucky, and that he should be grateful Jae-ha had not continued. Soo-yeon instinctively activated his observation skill, and the moment Haejin's stats appeared, Soo-yeon was stunned. Haejin actually had 2 S rank stats, and his overall strength was almost on the same level as Jaeha's. Soo-yeon could not help wondering how he had even managed to beat Hajun back then. He finally asked, "Why are you helping me? You held back during our fight before, and now you're joining my team too." Hajun replied coldly that this was his first time meeting someone like Soo-yeon, so he was simply a little curious. He even added that Soo-yeon should not misunderstand, because he never said he wanted to become close friends with him. At this point, Soo-yeon felt like Hajun was even stranger than he was. Seeing that he was the only one left in the classroom, Soo-yeon looked at the diamond card he had received yesterday. He immediately shouted the command to open the card. The next second, a summon card called Copy Cloud appeared before Soo-yeon's eyes. Meanwhile, Jiha had returned to East Gangbuk High. In his eyes, Soo-yeon was weaker than expected. So, taking over West Gangbuk High in the future was already inevitable. Jaeha immediately ordered East High's number 13 to take some men and clean up West Gangbuk High. But considering that Hajun-gu was still at West Gangbuk High, he also sent number 5, John Park, who loved analyzing things, to go with them. As for Jaeha himself, he would keep a close eye on South Gangbuk High. Once the West and South were taken, his next target would be the people from the North. After school, Dahyun acted spoiled toward her older brother, Soo-yeon. She said her friends were coming over, so Soo-yeon had to stay in his room and not come out. After Soo-yeon agreed, he hurried back to his room, eager to test his new card. As Soo-yeon summoned Copy Cloud, a cloud glowing with a faint blue light appeared before him. Soo-yeon studied Copy Cloud's skill. After activating copy mode, the cloud could automatically copy nearby people. But the moment Soo-yeon activated copy mode on the cloud, his younger sister Dahyun suddenly entered the room to ask for an autograph for her friend. In an instant, Copy Cloud immediately locked onto Dahyun as the target. Before Dahyun could react, Copy Cloud instantly restrained her. During the copying process, both the user and the copied target were unable to move. After 2.5 minutes, Copy Cloud successfully completed the copy. Dahyun felt a strange sensation run through her entire body. She cried out, wondering if there was a ghost in the house, but her friends only thought she was imagining things. Meanwhile, Soo-yeon was wondering what he could even do after copying someone. Right then, the quest window told him that he could paste the target he had just copied. As Soo-yeon gave the command, Copy Cloud instantly floated into motion and began combining. A short while later, the faint blue cloud transformed into Dahyun's appearance. Soo-yeon was shocked and confused, worried that someone else might see this copy. He tried touching the Copy Cloud in front of him, only to realize that the copy was almost no different from a real person. Without warning, the Copy Cloud, which had been standing completely still, suddenly slapped Soo-yeon across the face. Before Soo-yeon could recover from the shock, Copy Cloud automatically returned to the card. Only then did Soo-yeon understand that Copy Cloud was a summon card with copy and paste abilities. But Soo-yeon still could not figure out what this skill was supposed to be useful for, and he even felt that this diamond card was kind of useless. The next day, Soo-yeon returned to school like usual, but Hyundong nervously reported that East Gangbuk High had already started making moves. To fully take over West Gangbuk High, Jaeha had sent East High's number 5, John Park, along with number 13. Right now, West Gangbuk High was short on manpower. With their current strength, they had no chance against East Gangbuk High. Besides, when Soo-yeon defeated Daesung Hwang before, at least 60% of it had been luck, and in the short term, he had no way to obtain new attack cards. No matter how hard Soo-yeon thought, he could not come up with a way to get stronger quickly. Just then, Hajun happened to walk by and asked why Soo-yeon was standing there like an idiot. Soo-yeon opened his mouth, wanting to ask Hajun to train him, but Hajun rejected him immediately. But Soo-yeon quickly had a flash of inspiration and came up with the perfect idea. Even though the real Hajun had rejected him, Soo-yeon could still copy a Hajun of his own. Looking at the motionless copy of Hajun in front of him, Soo-yeon suddenly threw a jab, and the system immediately announced that his jab proficiency had increased. Hearing that, Soo-yeon was so excited he started celebrating like crazy. He had been disappointed after the real Hajun rejected him, but the copied Hajun could become his personal training partner. After landing jab after jab, straight punch after straight punch, and roundhouse kick after roundhouse kick, his skill proficiency began skyrocketing. Soo-yeon finally understood that this was the true purpose of this diamond card. After accidentally obtaining the card system, Soo-yeon kept growing through the West High Assembly and the Gangbuk Challenge. But to explain what happened, the story had to go back 2.5 days, when Soo-yeon used Copy Cloud to raise all his attack skills to B rank. When Soo-yeon and the others were getting ready to leave school, Hyundong noticed that his boss had a much stronger aura today and looked far more imposing than usual. Soo-yeon could not really explain it either. He only felt like his whole body was full of power, almost like he could punch a telephone pole in half. But just then, an underling rushed over in a panic and reported that people from East Gangbuk High had appeared, and the students nearby had already been threatened by them. The underling asked if Soo-yeon wanted to help, but Soo-yeon did not want to risk himself for people he did not even know. But the moment they heard that the ones being bullied were from Gangbook Girls High, the three of them instantly changed their minds. The three of them immediately declared that they would make the enemy eat dinner in hell. But just as Soo-yeon was about to move, Dae-sung Hwang suddenly stepped into the road and blocked him. Hyundong thought Dae-sung had come to recover his pride and get revenge, so he was about to step forward, but Soo-yeon stopped him with one hand. Soo-yeon told him to take the others and hurry to Gangbook Girls High to check the situation first. But Dae-sung Hwang coldly said that Soo-yeon could never beat him alone. After all, last time, he had only lost because Ha-jun appeared and made him lower his guard. Besides, Dae-sung believed his strength had always been above Soo-yeon's, but Soo-yeon confidently told Dae-sung not to waste his time. Meanwhile, three girls from Gangbook Girls High were trapped in an alley. Do-hyuk-kang mocked them, saying that as long as they played with him for 3 hours, everything could be discussed. Then Do-hyuk-kang noticed the most eye-catching girl among the three. With looks that unreal, she could easily become a celebrity idol. But just as Do-hyuk-kang reached out to touch her, Hyundong arrived and shouted at Do-hyuk-kang, telling that bastard to stop. Do-hyuk-kang was surprised that people from West High had actually found this place. Hyundong did not expect it either. Jaeha's men had brought way too many people today, but the underling walking toward Hyundong suddenly stopped because he recognized Gido standing beside Hyundong, the legendary number 2 god-tier figure of West Gangbuk High, known as the Dark Destroyer. Although Gido looked calm on the surface with both hands in his pockets, in reality, he was sweating like crazy and panicking inside. But in the enemy's eyes, Gido looked so powerful that he did not even need to take his hands out of his pockets to win. Seeing Gido act so tough, the enemies instantly swarmed him. But just as Gido closed his eyes and prepared to get beaten up, Soo-yeon arrived behind him and apologized for being late. Soo-yeon said it was because Dae-sung Hwang had not been as strong as he expected. Meanwhile, Dae-sung Hwang had already been knocked to the ground. His face was filled with disbelief. He could clearly feel that the Soo-yeon standing in front of him was completely different from before, but he could not understand how Soo-yeon had grown this much stronger in such a short time. At that moment, Gido complained that Soo-yeon had stolen his chance to show off again. Seeing Soo-yeon appear, Do-hyuk-kang sneered and said, "Soo-yeon Kim, don't tell me you think I'm on the same level as Dae-sung Hwang." With one order from Do-hyuk-kang, his men rushed forward all at once, but Soo-yeon's fists were no longer what they used to be. After all that repeated training, all 3 of his combat skills had reached B rank. As for dealing with these small fries in front of him, Soo-yeon could barely feel interested. Just as the girls stared in shock, the system issued a new side quest: defeat Do-hyuk-kang, the number 13 of East Gangbuk High, and receive 1 silver card. But Soo-yeon said he had no interest in small fry, and Do-hyuk-kang might as well hurry up and call Jiha over. Right as he said that, Soo-yeon instantly dashed forward. His straight punches and jabs rained down in a violent rhythm, taking down the small fries in front of him in an instant. Even when someone attacked from behind, the only thing that appeared in the enemy's vision the next second was Soo-yeon's fist. Do-hyuk-kang quietly watched Soo-yeon fight, still convinced that Soo-yeon was only around Dae-sung Hwang's level. Before coming here, Do-hyuk-kang had specifically asked Dae-sung about Soo-yeon. Dae-sung said Soo-yeon had no real strength and only knew how to run his mouth, though he repeatedly warned Do-hyuk not to let his guard down. But deep down, Dae-sung also knew that with Do-hyuk-kang's strength, even if he got careless, there was no way he would lose to Soo-yeon. Yet now, as Do-hyuk-kang was getting beaten down, all he wanted to do was curse Dae-sung Hwang. "You called this weak? This is monster-level strength." Before Do-hyuk could react, Soo-yeon immediately used his rise card and leapt into the air. Then, while still in midair, he activated Transcend Limits and instantly doubled his body weight. In an instant, his heavy fist smashed straight into Do-hyuk-kang's face. Deep down, Soo-yeon felt a little uncomfortable because he did not really want to get violent in front of the girls. After taking care of the enemy, Soo-yeon immediately checked whether the girls were hurt. The 3 girls thanked him repeatedly, but they quickly tried to leave because they had heard the rumor that Soo-yeon Kim ate the opponents he defeated. But one of the girls gathered her courage and asked if Soo-yeon could give her his contact information. After hearing her speak, Soo-yeon finally realized that the girl in front of him was one of his sister Daehyun's friends. Her friend quickly warned her that Soo-yeon was a very bad person, but the girl blushed and said she simply wanted to thank Soo-yeon from the bottom of her heart. Meanwhile, Haejun was doing pull-ups. Behind him, Jeon Park said, "Haejun, can you stop training already? You already lost to Soo-yeon Kim, and you still feel like working out?" But before Jeon Park could finish speaking, Haejun suddenly punched him into the floor. Ha-jun looked confused and wondered if Jiha had lost his mind, sending such a low-level guy to provoke him. After returning home, Soo-yeon was still caught up in the excitement of his winning streak. If things kept going like this, maybe he really could beat Jaehya. But Jaeha always moved with a group, and Soo-yeon definitely could not fight alone. On top of that, he still had not completed his quest to recruit team members. Although Soo-yeon had been using observation to search for suitable candidates, he still had not found anyone reliable. With that thought, Suyeon summoned Copy Cloud. Then he complained, asking if Copy Cloud could stop copying that appearance next time. Then Suyeon officially invited Copy Cloud to join his team. The moment Copy Cloud agreed, the system notification rang out. The member recruitment quest was completed, and Suyeon received 1 gold card. After that, Suyeon impatiently opened his newly obtained gold card. It turned out to be an epic card that could train his team members. Suyeon's current members were Hajun, Gido, Hyundong, and the newly recruited Copy Cloud. Suyeon asked the system in confusion how he was supposed to start training his members. The system told Suyeon that training members required training cards, and those cards could be obtained through future training quests. After hearing the system's explanation, Suyeon temporarily put the training quest aside and opened the silver card he had received for defeating Do-hyuk Kang. A boxing technique card called U-shaped slip appeared before him, and after using it, Suyeon felt that this silver card would definitely shine in the future. Right after that, the system window issued a new side quest. If he collected all 3 boxing essence techniques, he would receive 1 gold card. Realizing that he was only missing 1 silver card for the quest, Suyeon immediately activated Cardmaster to test his luck, since he still had plenty of unused cards in his hand. Without thinking too much, Suyeon went all in with 4 bronze cards, but in the end, he only got 2 useless silver cards, making him instantly regret his decision. The next day, his underlings stood up and congratulated Suyeon and the Dark Destroyer on their victory. Last night's battle had completely shown Jaeha the power of West High. The territory originally controlled by Jiha was now taken over by Suyeon. Suyeon asked if Jaeha would really let it slide after having his territory stolen. In reality, Jaeha had indeed learned about Jeon Park and Do-hyuk Kang's defeat, but Jaeha had no time to deal with Suyeon's group right now, because Seok Kang, who had been watching from the sidelines, had finally made his move. In response, Jaeha immediately ordered his number 2 fighter to hold back South High. As for that weakling Suyeon, Jaeha said he could deal with him anytime, but right now, he had to get rid of the troublesome Suk first. Hearing the good news that Seok had made a move, Suyeon secretly felt relieved. Although he had grown much stronger through quests and training, he still was not confident he could defeat Jia, so he needed to buy as much time as possible. But Hyundong suggested they clean up their own side first, because the territory they had just taken over might not truly obey Suyeon yet. Right then, the system's training quest suddenly appeared. If Suyeon completed the task of organizing and managing the school, he would receive 1 random stat training card to do. But just as Suyeon excitedly headed toward the new territory, Soha, Yang, the girl he had saved yesterday, suddenly greeted him from nearby. Suyeon wondered why Soha was here. She said she had plans with Dayan today, so she stopped by to take a look. But Suyeon, being completely dense, asked what her hanging out with Dayan had to do with him. Seeing that Suyeon did not understand what she meant, Soha directly asked why he had not replied to her message. After hearing that, Suyeon said he would reply tonight. But this warm little scene happened to be seen by Karin standing nearby. Meanwhile, several students from Rujong High were discussing their next plan. Because of Jaeha's defeat, this area now belonged to Suyeon, but their top dog, Jinsu Jang, said there was nothing scary about one Suyeon Kim. Right as he said that, Suyeon arrived in front of them. Suyeon asked if they were bandits, wondering why they were meeting in the mountains. As soon as he finished speaking, Jinsu Jang threw a punch at Suyeon, but Suyeon instantly dodged it with U-shaped slip. Facing an opponent who clearly did not know his place, Suyeon immediately fired an uppercut. That uppercut card was the result of Suyeon stubbornly continuing to fuse cards the day before. Although he had fused away his control card and high note bronze card, he had to admit that this uppercut card was actually very useful. Even the gold card rewarded for completing the collection quest was a combat card. It allowed him to attack from the left while instantly shifting to the right to strike again. Suyeon declared that today's training quest had officially begun. Jinsu Jang, beaten so badly that he could not fight back at all, collapsed miserably onto the ground. The underlings who were already leaning towards Suyeon immediately declared that they were willing to submit. The system announced that Rejong High had been successfully brought under control. The remaining 2 schools had already suffered under East Gangbok High's oppression, so after learning that Suyeon would not collect any tribute money, they all willingly chose to follow their new king. Right as Suyeon finished speaking, the system notification rang out. He had successfully completed the school management and cleanup quest, receiving 4 ultimate training cards with different attributes. Although he had obtained the training cards, Suyeon had no idea who he should use them on. If he used them on Heijin, he was afraid Heijin might become too difficult to control after getting stronger. But using all of them on Hyundong did not feel quite right either. After thinking it over again and again, Suyeon decided to give all the cards to Gido, since Gido was the weakest member of the entire team. Suyeon knew very well that Gido would eventually get dragged into conflict because of him, so he had to give Gido at least the basic ability to protect himself. With that, Suyeon gave all the training cards to Gido. In an instant, Gido felt a powerful force surge through his body, and all the discomfort he had been feeling before disappeared completely. After dealing with the training cards and internal affairs, Soo-yeon asked Hyundong about the top dog of North Gangbuk High. Since that person had been absent throughout the entire Gangbuk assembly, Soo-yeon had to gather information in advance, just in case. However, Hyundong did not have any detailed information or rumors about him either. All he knew was that this person was not an ordinary local top dog and had an unknown past. The only thing people said about him was that he was extremely strong. Seeing how mysterious the guy was, Soo-yeon could only put the matter aside for now. But as Hyundong watched Soo-yeon leave, an idea began forming in his mind. Although the territory under West High was currently stable, every time something happened, Soo-yeon had to personally step in and clean it up. If their territory kept expanding, they could not keep making Soo-yeon waste all his energy on internal affairs. After thinking it over, Hyundong felt they needed someone thoughtful and detail-oriented to stabilize things from within. And Karin, who usually had a decent relationship with Soo-yeon, was the perfect candidate. If she could start dating Soo-yeon, maybe she would help manage West High's affairs. So Hyundong invited both Soo-yeon and Charon, suggesting that everyone go to the Gangbuk Pool Villa for a team-building trip. But before he could even finish, Charon rejected him on the spot. After all, she had no desire to go to a place like that with a bunch of lunatics. Soo-yeon complained that Karin had no sense of warmth at all, while also wondering what kind of place this pool villa even was. Hyundong explained that it was a popular LM Star photo spot, a perfect place to take swimsuit photos and post them on social media. Soo-yeon could not help saying that with ideas like this, Hyundong deserved to get beaten. Right as he said that, Guido suddenly grabbed Hyundong from behind and asked why he had not discussed this with him first, since he was the second in command. After school, Karen's two friends came looking for her. They had heard that Soo-yeon's group had booked a pool villa, so they kept pestering Charon to come along. After all, it was a trending spot on LM Star, and the two of them also wanted to boost their social media accounts. Unable to resist her two friends' persuasion, Karin eventually agreed to go, but if they were going to take pictures, she would have to buy a swimsuit first. On the day of departure, Guido was confused. Why was Hajun here with them too? Soo-yeon had only asked him casually, but he never expected Haejun to actually agree to come. The girls who were joining them also arrived one after another. Soo-yeon's gaze locked onto someone's backpack and refused to move away. Charon immediately snapped at him, saying he had better not think he had X-ray vision or something. Meanwhile, at the border between East Gangbuk High and South Gangbuk High, an underling rushed over in panic to report the situation to Seok Kang. Seok raised an eyebrow and asked if Soo-yeon had already set out for East Gangbuk High. But the news the underling brought back was completely unexpected, because Soo-yeon's group looked like they were simply going out to have fun. Seok was left speechless. In his plan, he would launch a frontal assault on East High, while West High, operating from behind the scenes, should have attacked from the flank. And after learning that Soo-yeon's group was heading to the Gangbuk Pool Villa, Seok became even more confused. Wasn't that place North Gangbuk High's territory? Not long after, Soo-yeon's group arrived at the pool villa. Hyundong had already completed the check-in procedures in advance. Guido looked behind him in confusion, wondering why Hajun kept staring at him. Just then, the girls suggested that everyone split up and unpack first, but what they did not know was that another figure had silently slipped into their group of three. Charin instantly got furious and snapped at Soo-yeon, asking why he had followed them here. Hyundong quickly urged Soo-yeon to hurry up and move, since they only had a 2-day, 1-night trip, and there was not much time to have fun. But the moment everyone stepped into the pool villa, several cold gazes were watching their every move from a corner not far away. They were delinquents from North Gangbuk High. The man leading them had a fierce look in his eyes, as if he planned to make a move himself. Meanwhile, Karen's two friends were excitedly taking photos. After taking what felt like countless shots, the two finally picked one they were satisfied with. But in the next second, the girls could not help commenting on how impressive Hajun's physique looked. Right as they said that, Karen walked out of the room in her swimsuit. The other two girls immediately looked shocked and asked why she had actually worn that. It turned out they had specifically messaged Karen before the trip and told her not to wear a swimsuit, but Charin had never seen the message. After realizing what happened, Charin's face instantly turned red from embarrassment. She turned around and ran back into the room, swearing to herself that she would never go out with these terrible friends again. In the blink of an eye, it was the night before checkout, and Charin kept muttering that this was boring and she wanted to go home already. Seeing that everyone was bored, Hyundong suggested they play a game. Although Karen sounded reluctant, she eventually agreed to play a few rounds. After just 5 minutes, she excitedly pointed at Soo-yeon and shouted that he had lost. But Soo-yeon insisted that he had not lost, and the two immediately started arguing. Hyundong watched coldly from the side. Then a sly look crossed his face. The other two girls immediately understood what he was thinking. Hyundong slowly said that maybe the two of them should try a different game. The rules were simple. The two of them would enter the closet together, and whoever came out first would lose and have to get their eyebrows drawn on as punishment. Soo-yeon scoffed after hearing that. If this was just a test of endurance, then the game was way too easy. But Hyundong's next sentence immediately made Suyeon freeze. They had to stay inside while holding hands until one of them gave up. Karen instantly protested, asking why she had to hold hands with him. But her friends immediately joined in and teased her, saying it was just a game and did not mean anything. Karen, if you're embarrassed, you might as well just admit defeat. Right as he said that, Karen grabbed Suyeon's hand and said with a provocative tone, "Get ready to have your eyebrows drawn on." After the two of them were ready, Hyundong closed the closet door. In his heart, Hyundong told himself that all of this was for West Gangbuk High. Gido, standing guard outside, could not help sighing that this was what youth was all about. But a thug who suddenly appeared asked him what exactly was so youthful about this. Right then, the quest window suddenly issued a side quest. If Suyeon voluntarily lost to Cherin, he would receive 1 silver card. Although the silver card reward looked pretty good, Suyeon felt way too happy right now to care about leaving. But Suyeon soon noticed something was wrong. Cherin was sweating heavily, and even the densest person could tell that she looked extremely uncomfortable. After Suyeon asked her about it, Cherin finally admitted that she had mild claustrophobia. More specifically, it came from something that happened when she was bullied as a child. Those scumbags had once locked her inside a storage room full of trash and then left her there. Because of that, Karen had been traumatized by cramped spaces ever since. She just never expected to stay inside the closet for this long. Only then did Suyeon finally realize what was going on. The reason Karen had helped him before was because he reminded her of her past self. Suyeon apologized for not knowing that something like this had happened to her, but he also told Karen that if she felt uncomfortable, she should have said something sooner. Then Suyeon tried to push the closet door open, only to freeze on the spot. Something outside seemed to be blocking the door. Suyeon shouted for Hyundong to open the door, but no matter how long he yelled, there was no response from outside. Seeing Karen tearing up from fear and frustration, Suyeon instantly activated Transcend Limits. Refusing to stay trapped any longer, he smashed it apart with 1 punch. After getting out, Suyeon complained that Hyundong's terrible idea had almost gotten them killed. But just then, Karen slowly stepped closer from behind him. She gently thanked Suyeon and said that when his eyebrows got messed up later, she would help draw them back on. But Suyeon said he had not broken the closet entirely for her sake. The space had been too cramped, and his body had reacted awkwardly, so he felt pretty embarrassed too. Shireen asked in confusion what kind of reaction he was talking about, but once she understood, her face instantly turned bright red. Afterward, Karen's 2 friends also apologized to her, since they had no idea something like that had happened to her in the past. However, Karen warned them that if there was ever a next time, she would not let them off. Suyeon, whose eyebrows had been shaved off, nodded along from the side, but right then, Hyundong rushed over in a panic and reported that something terrible had happened. Gido, the second in command, had been captured by 3 thugs from North Gangbuk High, but Suyeon calmly said it was fine because the second in command had now truly become the Dark Destroyer. At that moment, Gido was being cornered in an alley by 3 guys. One of them sneered and said, "You're really the Dark Destroyer of West High? You look like a complete idiot." The leader, Chung Sok Choi, told his underlings to stop wasting time. After dealing with Gido, they still had to go settle things with Hajin. Before Gido could even react, Chung Sok Choi instantly threw a punch at him. Having spent so long being bullied, Gido's first instinct was simply to close his eyes and wait to get hit. But earlier, Suyeon had already used all of the training cards on Gido, and Gido had also received a combat card called Systema, so even while his eyes were still closed, Gido instantly unleashed Systema on his own. The other 2 were immediately shocked. Even Gido himself was confused, because his body was moving and attacking on its own. But in the eyes of the other 2, it looked like Gido had been deliberately hiding his true strength all this time. Gido suddenly realized that he had never really fought seriously before. Maybe his strength really was incredible. So from this day onward, he would become the true Dark Destroyer of West Gangbuk High. The thugs shouted at him to stop joking around. In the next instant, the 2 of them charged at Gido together. But before they could even get close, Systema instantly sent them flying. For the first time in his life, Gido felt like he actually looked cool. But suddenly, another thug launched a surprise punch at him. To Gido, though, the punch barely hurt at all. Gido immediately responded with another Systema strike. As the Dark Destroyer of West Gangbuk High, there was no way he could go down here. And just like that, Gido defeated the North Gangbuk High trio by himself. Afterward, Hyundong immediately started flattering him, saying that the second in command of West High had apparently been hiding his strength all along. But Gido said he did not like all this fighting and violence. He had only acted because they might have been in danger. Looking at how much Gido had changed, Suyeon could not help thinking that maybe Gido would never be casually bullied again. But at the same time, would Gido's S-rank potential really be fully realized one day? After everything was settled, Charon told the others to hurry back to their rooms. Hearing her sharp tone, none of them dared to waste time. But when the 3 girls started changing clothes, Suyeon snuck in again by carefully staying out of their line of sight. Charon immediately shouted, "You pervert! Why are you still here?" Soo-yeon could only complain that the system really should have given him an invisibility card. Then again, the team building trip had been strangely quiet these past 2 days. West High had come to vacation in North High's territory, so by all logic, there should have been at least some kind of conflict. And besides, the guys Jito had beaten were so weak that they did not seem like any of North High's real main forces. But Soo-yeon had no idea that this strange peace was actually all thanks to Haejin. It turned out Haejin had secretly gone to meet the top dog of North Gangbuk High himself, and that top dog immediately saw through Hajun's little plan. Wasn't he just trying to say that they were only visiting North High's territory for fun and asking North High not to interfere? In truth, he had already said the reason he let them do whatever they wanted was because, in his eyes, they were nothing but insects he could crush with one step whenever he wanted. And on top of that, he gave Haejin one extra warning during that meeting. The next time Haejin came to negotiate with him, he had better not keep his hands in his pockets. Soon, West Gangbuk High's team-building trip came to an end. Dahyun had always thought her older brother was destined to be an outsider for the rest of his life, so she never expected him to actually travel with friends. Unable to stand the two of them nagging him, Soo-yeon quickly ran back to his room. While no one was around, Soo-yeon immediately opened the silver card he had earned from breaking the closet. It was a concept-level silver card that could increase probability. Meanwhile, Gito, the second in command of West High, also returned home. Gito confessed to his father that he had gotten into a fight during the team-building trip, and that he felt like something inside him was about to awaken. After hearing that, his father said that their family actually had a hidden identity. But before he could finish, Haeja slapped him from behind. And the moment the scene shifted, it became clear that Gito's family was far from ordinary. On the next school day, rumors about the West High group spread through the school again. Soo-yeon did not even need to think about it. This was definitely Hyundong's doing again. The students around him also noticed that Soo-yeon's eyebrows were gone. But suddenly, Cherin grabbed Soo-yeon by the hand. Soo-yeon wondered if she was dragging him away to kiss him. When they arrived, Cherin told Soo-yeon to sit down quickly. After all, during the villa trip, she had promised to draw his eyebrows back on, but drawing them while standing face to face was inconvenient. So Cherin moved closer to Soo-yeon to find an easier angle. The moment the distance between them closed, the atmosphere turned strangely awkward, and the two could only stare at each other in silence. Just then, Hyundong suddenly came to report that everyone in West High had shaved their eyebrows for their top dog, and every underling who shaved their eyebrows had shed tears of emotion. Hyundong then told Soo-yeon that it was finally time to expand, not only by growing their influence, but also by preparing to unify Gangbuk. Right as he said that, the system issued a new main quest. This time, Soo-yeon had to choose one of 3 quests. Once he chose one, he could no longer do the other 2, and all 3 had different difficulties and rewards. From a strategic point of view, where should he attack first? Jae-ha Han of East High had the worst relationship with him, but if he attacked East High, the reward would only be 1 silver card. Attacking South High would give him a decent gold card. But what if Seok held a grudge over Soo-yeon not helping last time and teamed up with Jae-ha to trick him? If he looked only at the reward, attacking North High was clearly the best choice. But Hyundong said that if Soo-yeon wanted to attack North High, he might as well give up. The guys they met at the villa last time were nothing more than small fry. The real ranked fighters of North High were on a completely different level from them. The only place they could possibly attack right now was the Gangbuk Billiards Hall, but that place was guarded by North High's number 39 fighter. So if they attacked North High without a strategy, they would be wiped out. But Soo-yeon said he had already decided where to attack. Right as he said that, an underling from East High rushed in with a report, saying that all of West Gangbuk High had mobilized. Jae-ha said Soo-yeon was definitely planning to take care of East High first, then move on to South High. But unexpectedly, what his underling said next left Jae-ha frozen in place. Meanwhile, Sok Kong also received the news that West Gangbuk High had made a move. Sok originally thought Soo-yeon had launched an attack against South High, but what his underling said next left Sok frozen in place, because Soo-yeon's target this time was actually the strongest school, North Gangbuk High. At that moment, the 3 members of West Gangbuk High arrived together at North Gangbuk High's billiards hall. Soo-yeon said that what West High lacked right now was not territory. What they lacked was talent. So aside from the platinum card reward, the goal of this trip was to recruit the top dog of the billiards hall. But judging from the current situation, the ones getting attacked might actually be them. Soo-yeon wondered why the top dog here still had not shown up. Right as he said that, the sound of a door opening came from behind them. The person who appeared was North High's number 39, the top dog who managed the billiards hall. Soo-yeon was completely stunned. He never expected the top dog here to look like a girl. Soo-yeon immediately told Haru-sung that he liked him and sincerely invited Haru to join his team. But unexpectedly, Haru kicked Soo-yeon hard in the next second. Haru said, "Your real goal is to defeat me, isn't it?" Seeing Soo-yeon get attacked, Hyundong instantly charged toward Haru. But Hyundong was no match for Haru at all, and Haru firmly stated that he was not a girl. Gito, standing nearby, said that even if Haru looked like a woman, he was still a person. And in Guido's dictionary, the two most dangerous things were carelessness and beauty. But just as Guido was about to make a move, a voice stopped him. Suyan said that such a difficult task should be left to him, especially since this was his first time being kicked by a beauty. In an instant, Haru attacked Suyan and warned him not to call him a girl again. While dodging Haru's attacks, Suyan instantly threw a straight punch, only to realize that even the way Haru dodged looked charming. Before Haru could react, Suyan immediately charged up a roundhouse kick, but Haru still dodged it with ease. Hyundong stared in shock. Haru had dodged every single one of Suyan's attacks. Was this what people meant when they said two true rivals had finally met? Suyan praised Haru, saying he could not believe Haru had trained a body like that to this level. Haru was left speechless, while Suyan suggested they make a bet. If Haru lost, he would have to join Suyan's team. Haru asked in confusion why Suyan wanted him specifically as a member. Before Suyan could say another word, Haru threw a straight punch. As Suyan dodged, he said he had his eyes on Haru's limitless potential, then slammed an uppercut toward him. At that moment, the system issued a side quest to recruit Haru Song, but Haru said he had no interest in joining Suyan's so-called team. After hearing that, Suyan said that when a woman said no, it actually meant yes. Seeing how difficult Haru was to deal with, Suyan came up with an idea. Haru thought he had caught Suyan distracted and immediately threw a straight punch. But in the next second, Haru froze. For some reason, Suyan had suddenly fallen straight into his arms. Haru could not help wondering if this was really all the top dog of West Gangbuk High had. But in the next second, Suyan hugged Haru tightly. Suyan said Haru's clothes were not only soft, but also smelled pretty nice. Right as he said that, Suyan activated Transcend Limits. In an instant, Suyan grappled Haru and slammed him hard into the ground. Suyan told Haru to give up already, because there was no way he could escape from him. At that moment, the system announced that the main quest had been completed, and Suyan received 1 platinum card. Meanwhile, a scene from the past suddenly surfaced in Haru's mind. Haru had once been frustrated, wondering why he was only ranked 39th in North Gangbuk High. But the only answer he received was a brutal kick from the other person. That person said a weakling like Haru should be grateful to even be ranked 39th, and that giving him the billiards hall was already the greatest mercy he could receive. With those words, Haru woke up from the nightmare. Haru wondered in confusion. Wasn't he just at the billiards hall? Hyundong, standing nearby, answered that after Haru passed out, they brought him back to West Gangbuk High. Suyan, standing by the window, comforted Haru and told him not to worry. Since Haru looked like a girl, Suyan had not touched him recklessly. Haru said that if there was nothing else, he would leave, then reminded Suyan again that he was a man, not a woman. Seeing that Haru still refused to join his team, Suyan had no choice but to use the probability card he had obtained at the pool villa. This card could slightly increase the chance of persuasion. Using the card's effect, Suyan gave Haru a long speech full of reasoning. Unable to resist the card's power, Haru eventually agreed to join Suyan's team. After hearing Haru agree, Suyan happily hugged him. Hyundong sighed from the side, saying Suyan had finally recruited a female teammate. But Haru immediately told Suyan that they were about to be in serious trouble. Suyan had not only attacked North Gangbuk High, but had also recruited Haru into his team. If the top dog of North High found out, he would definitely attack West Gangbuk High. After hearing that, Suyan said Haru was really cute. In fact, the moment he recruited Haru, he had already prepared a plan. Meanwhile, Haru's figure appeared back at the billiards hall, but when the scene zoomed in, it turned out to be Suyan's diamond card, Copy Cloud. Before that, however, they still needed to modify Haru's appearance a little. Haru asked in confusion why a man like him had to cross-dress. Suyan said that if Haru refused, he would expose the fact that Haru had betrayed North High. After handling that, Suyan decided to go to the restroom. After all, hiding in the restroom was the happiest time to open cards. This time, he had obtained 2 cards in total. One was the platinum card from attacking North High, and the other was the silver card from recruiting Haru. Right after that, Suyan gave the system the command to open the cards. The silver card gave him a billiards draw shot skill, while the platinum card gave him a card called Ping Pong. Suyan wondered if this ping pong skill was supposed to stop him from needing the restroom during a fight. Right as he said that, the system issued a new training quest. 2.5 minutes later, one of South High's underlings hurriedly reported to Su Kang, because West Gangbuk High had already invaded their territory. The people they sent were their number 2, Guido, and a newly recruited pretty boy. Meanwhile, Suyan declared that today, they would definitely take down South High. So Suyan led Guido and Haru in a sudden attack on South Gangbuk High. When South High's underlings saw Haru, they immediately started mocking him. They asked if the world had gotten better, since even women were allowed on the battlefield now. Right as they said that, Haru stepped forward and slapped the guy hard across the face. When a heavy punch suddenly came from behind, Haru grabbed the opponent's shoulder, leapt into the air, and counterattacked. But unexpectedly, his hair was grabbed tightly by the enemy. As the opponent was about to throw another punch, Haru kicked both of them down before they could react. Haru did not expect South High to send this many underlings this time. Seeing the situation, Haru quickly urged Suyeon to come help, but unexpectedly, Suyeon was still analyzing the overall strength of each team member. Haru's speed was outstanding, but his strength and endurance were clearly lacking. On top of that, he had almost no real fighting technique and relied entirely on brute force. If Suyeon obtained attack-type training cards in the future, Haru should be given priority. Haru's potential was impressive, and once he used the right cards, his strength would definitely increase by a huge amount. As for Gido, left-hand system, right-hand Ma, hide away, and become Systema. But seriously, Systema was supposed to look cool as a martial art, so why did it look so lame when Gido used it? But just then, Suyeon noticed that South High's underlings inside the tunnel were suddenly fleeing like crazy. Meanwhile, Haru had already cleared out the underlings on his side of the tunnel. Haru thought today's mission was finally over. But unexpectedly, South Gangbok High's number 18, Junyol Bang, suddenly arrived as backup. With one glance, Haru could tell that the gap between their strength was not small. Meanwhile, Gido had just finished his fight on the other side. Gido sighed that fighting was actually much more ordinary than he expected. But before he could finish speaking, a fist suddenly appeared right in front of him. It belonged to South Gangbok High's number 17, Jungi Bang. Jungi Bang recognized Gido as the Dark Destroyer of West Gangbok High. He also said that his dream was to fight someone with the face of a top student. On the other side, Suyeon knocked out the South High underling who had just tried to run away. Suyeon wondered what was hidden inside the package the guy had protected so desperately. Could this package contain the South High incident item required for the mission? To clear up his doubts, Suyeon immediately opened the package to check. But suddenly, a voice questioned why Suyeon was casually looking through someone else's belongings. The person who appeared was South Gangbok High's number 10, Dongwoo Wang. In an instant, Suyeon was slammed hard into the ground by him. Dongwoo Wang also recognized the person in front of him as the rumored tank top Suyeon Kim. He mocked Suyeon, saying the legendary top dog of West High did not seem like much. The sneak attack had caught Suyeon off guard, so he had no time to use any skills. After taking heavy damage, Suyeon immediately used his stamina recovery card, but unexpectedly, the shameless Dongwoo Wang sat right on top of him. Facing an opponent with this kind of body type, even activating transcend limits would make it hard to escape from underneath him. In an instant, a storm of punches slammed brutally into Suyeon's face. Meanwhile, Sok Kang was anxiously trying to find out what was happening inside the tunnel. He was not worried about Dongwoo Wang and the Bang twins, but if the South High incident item inside the package was stolen, things would become extremely troublesome. Right then, an underling suddenly shouted that someone in the tunnel had sent a message back. Unexpectedly, they had defeated the West High group with ease. Dongwoo Wang told Junyol Bang beside him to guard the package no matter what. If they angered Seok, none of them would get out alive. After hearing Dongwoo Wang's words, Suyeon confirmed that the item inside the package was the target of this operation. Suyeon told the three of them, "Do you think we're crazy? If we came here without preparing first, how would that be any different from walking straight into a tiger's den?" Then Suyeon looked at the three of them and asked, "Do you believe in miracles?" Right as he said that, Suyeon used the platinum card he had obtained yesterday, Diaper. The people who had been lying on the ground instantly recovered their stamina, and their stats suddenly surged by 3 whole ranks. By the time Seok Kang arrived at the tunnel, all that remained was a complete mess, and the South High documents had already been taken by Suyeon. Furious, Seok immediately contacted Jihahan, planning to join forces with East Gangbok High and officially declare war on West Gangbok High. Meanwhile, on the other side, Suyeon and the others were studying what was inside the package. When Suyeon opened it, he found that it was just some medicated patches. Suyeon guessed that maybe they were planning to force old people to buy them for money. But Gido, standing beside him, explained with a serious expression that these were not ordinary patches. They were addictive painkillers called fentanyl. Sok must have obtained them from a doctor, then resold them to students for massive profit. Right as Gido finished speaking, the system announced that the training quest had been completed. Suyeon received 6 training cards with different attributes. Meanwhile, Jihahan received a call from Suk Kang. Seok proposed that South High would attack West High from the front, while East High would flank them from the side. Once it was done, Sok would give Jeha part of South High's territory. But if this mission failed, Sok would personally wipe out both West High and East High. On the other side, Suyeon was on his way home, feeling grateful that he had the platinum card this time. Then again, who should he use these new training cards on? Although Suyeon really wanted to use them on himself, if this were a game, then every character should be trained properly. But just as Suyeon was thinking about how to distribute the training cards, the phone in his pocket suddenly rang. An underling reported in a panic that East Gangbok High and South Gangbok High had joined forces to attack. It seemed like they had made some kind of deal with Sok, and right now, West High could barely hold back even their advance force. After hearing that, Suyeon immediately rushed to the battlefield. The first one to fall into danger was Hyundong Lee, West Gangbok High's number 4. The 3 high schools they had worked so hard to take over last time had already fallen. Hyundong was guarding West High's final defense line with the resolve to die. But unexpectedly, he could not even withstand a single attack from Dae Sung Hwang. Right after that, Dae Sung Hwang sat right on Hyundong's face. At that moment, Hyundong finally realized just how weak he really was. He kept saying he wanted to help Suyeon, but every single time, he only became a burden to the team. Looking at his excellent teammates and then comparing them to his ordinary self, Hyundong shed tears of frustration as a man. The people from East High immediately picked up the phone on the ground, called Suyeon, and mocked him freely, declaring that this territory now belonged to East High, and that they were about to break Hyundong's leg as a trophy. But just as Suyeon rushed toward the battlefield, the system suddenly issued a notification. Team member Hyundong Lee's conviction gauge was now full, and his potential had surged to the edge of awakening. The moment the notification appeared, Hyundong's potential fully awakened. His stamina was completely restored, and he unlocked his exclusive attack card, Weapon Master, which allowed him to skillfully control any tool and increase his strength in real time, depending on the weapon type. In an instant, Hyundong grabbed a wooden stick. Then he smashed it hard into Dae Sung Hwang's head. After taking the hit, Dae Sung Hwang looked completely shocked. He could not understand why Hyundong, who had been on the verge of death, was able to stand back up. At that moment, Hyundong no longer wanted to drag anyone down. Being ordinary was not scary. What was truly terrifying was accepting defeat. Hyundong's true potential came from his responsibility and conviction to protect his friends without giving up. At that moment, he finally lived up to the title of West Gangbok High's number 4. The other 2 mocked him, asking if his movie scene was over and whether he really planned to defeat both of them alone. The next second, a voice suddenly said, "Hyundong, you actually look pretty cool." The man who appeared was Haejin-gu, West Gangbok High's number 3. The mood of the 2 enemies instantly hit rock bottom. Haejin said he had rushed over in a hurry today and forgot to bring a lighter, so he asked the 2 of them to hurry up and call Jiha over to light his cigarette. But Dae Sung Hwang was known as the Endurance King. As long as his vital points were not hit, his combat power would not drop. Even after awakening, Hyundong still struggled badly against him. Meanwhile, Suyeon was filled with worry as he rushed toward the battlefield. He knew Hyundong's base potential was weak, so even after awakening, it would still be hard for him to stand against a truly powerful enemy. But the next second, the system announced another change in his team members' stats. Hyundong's strength instantly shot up to A+ rank. The reason was that Hyundong had switched his weapon to an iron exhaust pipe, so his strength changed, along with the weapon. Before Dae Sung Hwang could react, Hyundong instantly defeated him. Relying on a weapon might be considered dirty, but right now, Hyundong only wanted to catch up to his friends and stop holding everyone back. With the exhaust pipe, Hyundong successfully defeated Dae Sung Hwang. Even though his stamina was already drained, Hyundong still wanted to step forward and support Haejun. But Haejun-gu, West Gangbok High's number 3, never seemed like someone who needed anyone's concern. Jeon Park, believing he was no longer the same as before, roared and charged at Haejun. He said the only reason he had fallen behind last time was because Haejun had ambushed him, and today he would show Haejun what the real Jeon Park looked like. Before Haejun could react, Jeon Park instantly slammed his head toward Haejun's face, but unexpectedly, Haejun simply said that Jeon Park had not changed at all. Right as he said that, Haejun grabbed Jeon Park right in front of him. Then he slammed a heavy uppercut straight into Jeon Park's stomach. At that moment, Jeon Park felt like his body had been torn apart. Haejun mocked him, asking what exactly was different from 2 days ago. Wasn't he still just as fragile as last time? But unexpectedly, a figure suddenly appeared and kicked Haejun flying. The top dog of East High, Jiha Han, had arrived with East High's strike team. Haejun immediately told Jaeha behind him to hurry over and light his cigarette. Jaeha said this guy was already half dead, yet he was still trying to act cool. Then Jaeha ordered the strike team to take Haejun down immediately. However, Jaeha knew Haejun would not fall that easily, but the strike team was made up of elite fighters trained specifically to defeat the top dogs of different schools. So he wanted to see how long Haejun could last against 3 of them at once. Although in the fight that followed, the strike team still could not hurt Haejun at all. But Jaeha was actually satisfied with the strike team's results, because he had never expected them to defeat Haejun. As long as they could make Haejun tired, they had already done their job. Jaeha suggested that Haejun come to East High and help him train the strike team. But unexpectedly, Haejun only coldly said one word: light. Seeing that Haejun had no intention of negotiating, Jaeha ordered the strike team to continue attacking. At that critical moment, Suyeon thought of a way to break the situation. He would use every training card he had received from this quest on Haejun, randomly unlocking the ultimate attack skill. Kisi fighting method. This was a close-quarters combat style from Spain, created for real combat. It required no weapon, because the entire body could become a blade. It was pure, practical combat at its finest. This battle now centered around Hyundong's awakening, and the choice Suyan made at the critical moment. Hyundong had originally been an ordinary person with mediocre talent, but after being crushed by powerful enemies while protecting West High, his desperate refusal to become a burden awakened his potential and gave him an exclusive skill that increased his strength depending on his weapon. And while Suyan struggled over how to distribute the training cards, he ultimately chose to give them to Heijin, allowing him to unlock the strongest close combat technique and fight back against the joint attack from East High and South High. At the most crucial moment, Suyan used all of the training cards on Heijin. That caused Heijin to suddenly unleash the Kisi fighting method, a technique he had never used before. It was the strongest close combat art, one that did not rely on weapons and instead turned the entire body into a weapon. Meanwhile, Suyan was confused as to why Heijin's stats had not changed. He had clearly used every training card he had obtained this time on Heijin. Did that mean S-rank abilities required even more training cards to level up? But right now, the more important thing was to hurry over and help Heijin. On the other side, Heijin himself was also shocked as he continued attacking. These unfamiliar fighting techniques were something he had never learned before, and yet, when he used them now, they flowed naturally, as if he had trained in them for years. But with victory and defeat on the line, nothing else mattered. Heijin coldly reminded his opponents that if they wanted to fight, they should find someone on their own level. Right as he said that, a foot slammed hard into Heijin's temple. Jaeha, the one who attacked, looked excited, because this was exactly the kind of fight he was best at. After taking a heavy blow to the temple, Heijin instantly became dizzy. Even Jiha in front of him began to split into blurry afterimages. Heijin knew this fighting style was extremely strong in close combat, so he had to close the distance with Jaeha immediately. But unexpectedly, Jaeha's reach advantage was too obvious, and he gave Heijin no chance to get close. Jaeha said fighting was never just about strength and endurance. Coordination and balance were just as important. No matter how fierce a bull was, it still could not beat a nimble matador. Right after that, Jaeha prepared to end the fight with one final kick. But unexpectedly, Heijin suddenly grabbed his ankle. Taking advantage of the moment, Jaeha froze. Heijin slammed a heavy punch into Jaeha's jaw, leaving him in disbelief. Jaeha never expected Heijin to still be able to counterattack while he was on the verge of collapse. But that punch also completely drained Heijin, causing him to collapse to the ground. Lying on the ground, Heijin said that he had lost today, so the rest was up to Suyan. Right as he said that, Suyan Kim, the #1 of West Gangbok High, finally arrived on the battlefield. But unexpectedly, Jaeha did not take Suyan seriously at all. The next second, East Gangbok High's main force had fully arrived. A real battlefield was never just a one-on-one duel. Jaeha mocked Suyan for having no strategy and only charging in blindly, telling him he might as well give up on his dream of unifying Gangbuk. At that moment, Hyundong hurriedly warned Suyan that the situation was critical because Seok Kang was leading South High's forces over to take revenge on West High. Jiha said, "Suyan Kim, you never know when you'll be ambushed, and you never know when an enemy will become a friend. You knew nothing about this territory, yet you barged in anyway. Looks like West Gangbuk High will be wiped out here today." Suyan immediately proposed a deal. "Jaeha, why don't you make a trade with me? As long as you let everyone from West High leave, I'll hand South High's goods over to you. If you use these goods properly, you can deal a serious blow to South High. Besides, with East High's strength, you can attack West High whenever you want. Just like you said, an enemy can become an ally at any moment." Jaeha mocked him, asking why he should waste time talking when he could just take the goods by force. But unexpectedly, the clever Suyan immediately prepared to burn the goods into ashes. Seeing that Suyan would not back down, Jaeha told West High to leave the goods behind and get lost. Right after that, Jaeha called Seok Kang. Jaeha said he no longer felt like fighting Suyan. "By the way, that kid handed all your goods over to me. I never expected my good brother Seok to play even dirtier than I do." Hearing that, Seok's face twisted with rage as he demanded Jaeha's location. On the other side, Suyan safely brought everyone back to West High and apologized to them in public. Fortunately, everyone was safe this time. Their territory had not fallen either. Guido, standing nearby, realized that West High now needed to recruit a strategist. Right now, aside from Hyundong, who was fairly sharp, most of West High's people were far too reckless. After hearing Suyan's concern, Hyundong immediately recommended someone. This person was known as the Zhuge Liang of Gangbuk, a top-tier genius in both strategy and internal management. He was Jihyuk Jang, the younger brother of Chonhak Jang, who had once led the Dog Alliance as its number 2. At the same time, the system issued a new training quest. If Suyan completed the member recruitment task, he would receive 4 advanced training cards and 1 advanced attack card. After seeing the reward, Suyan immediately asked where Jihyuk Jang was. But Hyundong admitted that recruiting him would be extremely difficult because East High and South High had both failed not long ago. Jihyuk Jang had clearly stated that he did not want to use his talent for conflict. But in West High's dictionary, the word give up did not exist either. With firm resolve, Suyan immediately led the team to visit this Zhuge Liang of Gangbuk. But unexpectedly, the person guarding the door told them to leave right away. His teacher was currently playing ranked games, and after that, he still needed to take a nap. Guido angrily shouted, asking if he knew that the person standing before him was the legendary Hansen Suyan Kim. But Suyan apologized for Guido's rudeness and asked the guard to tell his teacher that Hansan Suyan Kim from West High had come to visit. Then Suyan turned to the other 3 and said that Liu Bei had visited the thatched cottage 3 times before inviting Zhuge Liang out. They would also visit this place 3 times and definitely invite Mr. Jihyuk Jang out. But unexpectedly, Hyundong pointed at the guard and said that he was Jihyuk Jang. Seeing this, Suyan immediately used observation on Jihyuk Jang, while Jihyuk stated that he would not change his mind about refusing to participate in any conflict. Right as he said that, Jihyuk Jang noticed Haru standing nearby with his hair slightly loosened. The thought he had just expressed about not joining any conflict seemed to change instantly. Maybe he could at least hear what Hansen Suyan Kim had to say. After listening to Suyan explain the conflicts between West High, South High, and East High, Jihyuk casually analyzed the situation and said things would naturally work out when the time came. Sok Kang would definitely attack East High first to recover the goods, but in the end, Sok would trade money and territory to Jeha in exchange for getting the goods back. After that, East High and South High would inevitably join forces and expand again before attacking West High. With West High's current manpower, fighting on 2 fronts would guarantee defeat. But there was one strategy that could break the situation, block the attack, and expand West High's influence at the same time. That strategy was to borrow every force outside of West High. But Hyundong said that right now, everyone outside West High was their enemy. Jihyuk reminded him that he had forgotten North Gangbuk High. What they needed to do was propose a plan to North High to stop Jiha, while promising that if they gained territory, they would share part of it with North High. Although North High had no interest in small groups beneath them, there was no way they had absolutely no desire to expand their territory. Right after that, Jihyuk presented a strategy called the 3-way division of Gangbuk. They would offer to divide the territory and ally with North High to stop Jeha's East High. Hajin and the North High allied forces would hold the East High front line and help contain Jehia. Meanwhile, West High's main force would focus entirely on attacking South High's core area. Once South High was taken, they would enter the final battle for supremacy against East High and North High. This clear, tightly connected strategy left everyone present genuinely impressed. Suyan sincerely asked Jihyuk to join West High, but Jihyuk had no interest in war, and no matter how hard Suyan tried to persuade him, he refused to move. Then Haru casually said that sitting there was making him sweat from the heat. Jihyuk's cheeks instantly turned red, and he immediately changed his answer, agreeing to join the team. Just as the team was being formed, an unfamiliar voice suddenly rang out. The person who appeared was Jihyuk's older brother, Chonhak Jang, the tactical analyst who had once been the number 2 of the Dog Alliance. Suyan immediately used observation to check him, only to realize that this man was completely different from his younger brother and was both brilliant and strong. Not long after, Heijin Gu, West High's number 3, arrived at the battlefield between West High and East High. Right after that, reinforcements from North Gangbuk High arrived as well. The ones who came were North High's number 49 and number 50. The 2 acted arrogantly and told Heijin to understand the hierarchy. North High was the leading force, so it naturally stood above West High, and West High only needed to follow orders. Before the other side could finish speaking, Heijin threw a punch straight at them. Hajun coldly said that hierarchy did matter, but they had better learn how to speak properly. Seeing the conflict break out, North High's number 28, Kang San Choi, stepped in at the right moment. After briefly greeting Heijin, both sides followed the agreement and joined forces to hold the position, blocking East Gangbuk High's attack. At the same time, Suyan received a report call from Heijin. After learning that the alliance with North High had gone smoothly, Soo-yeon could not help admiring Ji-hyuk's strategy. Seeing that Ha-jin had once again stepped in to solve the problem, Soo-yeon quickly thanked him, but Ha-jin told Soo-yeon not to misunderstand. He simply hated Ji-ha, that was all. Soo-yeon apologized out loud, while silently thinking that Ha-jun was obviously saying the opposite of what he felt. After hanging up, Soo-yeon started regretting that he had given all his training cards to his team members. Although everyone else's strength had increased rapidly, he was the only one who had stopped improving. So he wanted to use the advanced training cards from this quest on himself, but he was also worried that if his strength increased, the system's quest difficulty might rise as well. Still, to carry out the three-way division of Gangbuk, improving his own strength was also crucial. Up until now, Soo-yeon had relied on Copy Cloud's ability to level up. But after Copy Cloud transformed into Haru, he could only grow stronger through system quests. The nearby thugs had already been cleaned out, and no new quests were appearing. Going recklessly to East High or South High for quests would be too dangerous. After thinking hard, Soo-yeon suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Why not wear a mask and head into North Gangbuk High's territory? After all, North High had very little information about him, and its territory was huge, with plenty of quest resources. It was the perfect place to hide his identity and grow stronger quickly. As soon as Soo-yeon arrived in North High's territory, the system immediately issued a new main quest. All he had to do was complete an exploration mission in North Gangbuk High's area, and he would receive a diamond card. But before he could even finish reading the quest details, one of the enemies suddenly threw a heavy punch at him. After seeing that Soo-yeon was no ordinary fighter, the other guy sharply demanded to know his name. Instead of answering directly, Soo-yeon slammed him with a hard side punch first, while continuing to operate under the alias Paper Bag Kim, so he could infiltrate North High's territory, clear system quests, and level up in secret. At this point, Soo-yeon was starting to understand that getting stronger was never just about raising combat power. It was also about reading people, using people well, planning ahead, controlling your emotions, and weighing risks against rewards. He used to be the kind of leader who only knew how to solve everything with his fists, but now he had started to appreciate the value of a strategist and think seriously about resource allocation, which was a kind of mental growth in itself. A team's true ceiling was never just about the personal strength of its leader. It came from the combination of talent, clear division of roles, and strategies that complemented one another. With that in mind, Soo-yeon immediately used his U-shaped slip and dodged the incoming punch in an instant. But just as he focused his attention on the opponent in front of him, another enemy from behind suddenly drove a punch toward him. The four of them coordinated so well that Soo-yeon could not find a way to break through their formation. Only then did Soo-yeon truly realize that the guys he had met at the pool villa before were just small fry, while these people represented the real average combat level of North Gangbuk High. Seeing Paper Bag Kim surrounded, they originally considered beating him down hard, but then they remembered their top dog's usual rule about showing at least a little mercy to the weak. So in the end, the five of them did not try to seriously cripple Soo-yeon. But by then, Soo-yeon's special skill had finally finished charging up. He thought to himself that if the reward for this mission was a diamond card, then it only made sense for the enemies to be this strong. In the next second, Soo-yeon's speed stat shot all the way up to C rank. Without even using a recovery item, he charged straight at the North High fighters. After a fierce battle, Soo-yeon answered a call from Guido while breathing heavily. On the other end, Guido sounded confused and asked why Soo-yeon was making such weird breathing noises. To avoid any misunderstanding, Soo-yeon quickly explained that he was out running, and Guido took the chance to give him an update. At the moment, every move West High was making was being carried out exactly according to Ji-hyuk Jang's plan. Meanwhile, Jae-ha used that shipment to squeeze a huge amount of money out of Suk Kang. But Seok was not the kind of person to let things go. The moment Jae-ha showed even the slightest opening, Seok would definitely retaliate against East High. Because of that, Soo-yeon planned to take advantage of this brief window and devote himself fully to training. At that point, Guido could not help asking whether Soo-yeon really trusted Ji-hyuk Jang. The truth was, Soo-yeon did not trust Ji-hyuk completely either. But with Gangbuk in constant chaos and conflict right now, West High desperately needed a strategist to hold things together. Even if Ji-hyuk truly had ulterior motives, Soo-yeon already had a way to deal with that. He would simply become strong enough to bear every risk himself. Meanwhile, the main quest updated to its second stage. The next mission was to make the name Paper Bag Kim famous. Soo-yeon immediately decided that from now on he would head to North Gangbuk High's territory for training as soon as school ended. Meanwhile, inside a hotel in North Gangbuk High's area, North Gangbuk High's number 20, Chon-hak Yang, was receiving a report from his underling. The underling said that a group of their guys had been defeated by a strange madman calling himself Paper Bag Kim. Chon-hak Yang said that after staying quiet for a while, all kinds of strange people had started crawling out. As Nietzsche once said, both grace and hatred must never be forgotten. After returning to West High, Soo-yeon had Karin draw his eyebrows like usual, but Karin looked confused and asked why his eyebrows still had not grown back after several months. And what was with the scratches on them? Chaerin was both angry and annoyed, saying she would never draw his eyebrows for him again. Soo-yeon started acting cute, saying she was the one who had promised to draw his eyebrows for the rest of his life. The next second, the unfiltered Soo-yeon was slapped hard by Chaerin. Right then, the system window announced that the main quest had updated again. The name Paper Bag Kim had already started spreading around North Gangbuk-hai's territory. But unexpectedly, the next mission was to get closer to So-ha-yang. Soo-yeon was completely confused. This was clearly an exploration quest related to North Hai. So why was it suddenly telling him to get close to So-ha-yang? Actively getting closer to someone just for a quest made Soo-yeon feel guilty. Besides, as someone completely clueless with romance, his previous conversations with So-ha-yang had already been painfully awkward. Meanwhile, Chaerin was having afternoon tea with her friends. Her two friends leaned in and asked if Chaerin liked Soo-yeon, since rumors outside were already saying the two had practically reached the proposal stage. Chaerin blushed and argued that all of those rumors were complete nonsense. But then she admitted that Soo-yeon's dumb, clueless look was honestly kind of amusing. Right as she said that, Chaerin noticed something strange downstairs. Soo-yeon was alone with a girl she had never seen before. Chaerin loudly called out to Soo-yeon, but he did not hear her at all. Chaerin immediately felt annoyed, thinking that Soo-yeon actually had the nerve to go on a private date with a girl while looking like that. Meanwhile, So-ha-yang downstairs also noticed Chaerin looking at them. Soo-yeon, completely unaware of this, only felt that the atmosphere was awkward beyond belief. He had no idea what he was supposed to do to actually get closer to her. Meanwhile, Dayan was chatting with her mother. Her mother asked whether Dayan had ever dated anyone and told her that she needed to interact with more boys so she could learn how to spot a bad guy. Then she turned and asked whether So-ha-yang had ever been in a relationship. Dayan immediately blurted out that So-ha-yang was a weirdo. Ever since entering high school, she had become extremely curious about romance between boys and girls. After hearing that, her mother felt that someone with So-ha-yang's personality would probably start dating soon. Because once a girl like her set her eyes on someone, she would charge forward without thinking about the consequences. After entering So-ha-young's home, Soo-yeon could not help admiring how refined the interior was. Even the TV playing a wildlife documentary somehow looked expensive, but So-ha-yang kept hiding inside her room. Soo-yeon inevitably started feeling bored. Remembering that he still had to complete the quest, he asked whether So-ha-yang had fallen asleep. But inside the room, So-ha-yang was already blushing hard and struggling with her thoughts. She wondered how she had ended up bringing a boy home, especially when that boy was Soo-yeon Oppa, the one she liked. After some time, So-ha-yang finally came out of her room and sat in the living room. But to her surprise, Soo-yeon had already fallen asleep. Looking at the sleeping Soo-yeon, So-ha-yang felt a strange thought rise in her heart. While Soo-yeon was asleep, she quietly picked up his jacket. Then, with her face bright red, she hugged the jacket close and became so nervous that she did not know what to do. In the end, looking at the completely defenseless Soo-yeon, So-ha-yang could not help gently leaning closer to him. Not long after, the system announced that the mission to get closer to So-ha-yang had been completed. When Soo-yeon woke up, he was completely confused. Not only had the quest somehow been completed, but So-ha-yang was no longer home, and she still had not replied to his messages. Soo-yeon thought maybe he had upset her by falling asleep. But no matter what, he only had one quest left before he could obtain a diamond card. Right as he thought that, the system announced that the main quest had been updated. The next stage of the North Gangbuk-hai exploration quest was to take over Gangbuk Hotel. And the moment he accepted the quest, a navigation route appeared on the road. 2.5 minutes later, Soo-yeon entered Gangbuk Hotel alone. The people inside the hotel never expected him to have the guts to come challenge them all by himself. Although Soo-yeon politely thanked them for the compliment, even he had not expected this many people to be inside the hotel. Just then, a low voice suddenly rang out, calling Paper Bag Kim nothing more than a reckless nobody with courage, but no strategy. He even quoted Nietzsche, saying that honest people made it easier for opponents to lower their guard. Soo-yeon did not understand any of what the guy was saying. He just wanted to take this place down as quickly as possible. But Chan Hak-yang coldly said that bravery and recklessness were separated by only a thin line. He told Soo-yeon to leave now, and that their previous grudges could be forgotten, because his anger was not something a guy like Soo-yeon could handle. But after Soo-yeon used observation, his heart sank. Chan Hak-yang's strength was actually on the same level as Haejun's. On top of that, there were far too many enemies inside the hotel. One wrong move, and Soo-yeon would be trapped in a hopeless situation. Could the final quest really be asking him to defeat everyone in this hotel? But the moment Soo-yeon lost focus, everyone inside the hotel rushed at him. A short while later, Chan Hak-yang looked genuinely surprised. He was surprised by Paper Bag Kim's courage to enter Gangbuk Hotel alone. and even more surprised by how fearless he looked while facing a crowd. But the most surprising part was that he lost in only 3 seconds. The underlings sneered at him, mocking Paperbag Kim for not knowing his place. But Chon Hak-yang immediately stopped them from looking down on him. He believed a man who dared to fight despite knowing he would lose deserved respect. He could tell Soo-yeon had learned boxing, but lacked experience in group fights. In a real fight, only the result mattered. No one cared about the process. After saying that, Chon Hak-yang reached out to remove Paperbag Kim's mask. He wanted to know who was secretly targeting North Gangbok High. But suddenly, Soo-yeon grabbed Chon Hak-yang's leg tightly. In an instant, Soo-yeon activated Transcend Limits, then used Rise to yank Chon Hak-yang into the air. Soo-yeon's real strategy was never to fight all of North High. He only needed to take down the hotel and complete the quest. As long as he defeated Chon Hak-yang, this should be over. Right as he thought that, Chon Hak-yang was slammed hard into the ground from midair. But after doing all of that, Soo-yeon was confused. He had clearly knocked Chon Hak-yang down, so why was the quest still not complete? Then a cold voice rang out again. Nietzsche once said that even an extinguished flame can burn again. Soo-yeon could not believe it. After falling from that height, Chon Hak-yang was still unharmed. The underlings nearby laughed at Soo-yeon for being ignorant and explained that their top dog had originally been a judo athlete. In truth, Chon Hak-yang was not completely unhurt. He had simply acknowledged Paperbag Kim's strength. Soo-yeon snapped back to his senses and threw a straight punch at Chon Hak-yang. Chon Hak-yang was confused. Where had that strange power that lifted him into the air gone? At that moment, Soo-yeon also realized that the effect of Transcend Limits had already ended. Seeing Chon Hak-yang's hand close in fast, Soo-yeon immediately used U-shaped slip. He knew very well that Chon Hak-yang was a judo expert. If he got grabbed at close range, he would have no chance of turning the fight around. In an instant, Soo-yeon quickly pulled back and created some distance. Then he activated Rise again, launching himself into the air. Right after that, he unleashed a roundhouse kick that landed cleanly on Chon Hak-yang's jaw. But although the attack looked flashy, it failed to deal any real damage to Chon Hak-yang. Chon Hak-yang followed up with a shoulder throw, completely ending the struggle. He had already said that his anger was not something Paperbag Kim could endure. Seeing Paperbag Kim on the verge of death, Chon Hak-yang immediately prepared to finish him off. But at that critical moment, Soo-yeon used a recovery item. Back when he successfully recruited Ji-hyuk-jang, he had obtained 5 training cards. Unlike ultimate cards, advanced cards could directly raise a stat by 2 whole levels after being used. Soo-yeon had already prepared himself to use those cards in a desperate situation. The moment the cards took effect, Soo-yeon's speed and strength rose by 4 levels in a row. Right then, Soo-yeon suddenly used an extremely strange fighting move. After being kicked away, Chon Hak-yang looked confused and said he had never seen such a bizarre martial art before. It turned out that after using the advanced training cards, Soo-yeon had unlocked the ancient martial art Taekyon. A split second later, Soo-yeon quickly unleashed his new technique. This was the first time in Chon Hak-yang's life that he had faced this kind of martial art. He originally planned to defend first, like he would against Taekwondo, then wait for a chance to counter. But unexpectedly, Soo-yeon used Taekyon's hand techniques to strike him directly in the nose. Then he followed up with another Taekyon move, smashing hard into Chon Hak-yang's collarbone. This unpredictable martial art made Chon Hak-yang suffer badly. Even against an opponent whose stats were several times higher, as long as Soo-yeon caught an opening, he could still instantly turn the fight around. This time, Soo-yeon finally understood that strength was the foundation for surviving every risk. Only by constantly growing stronger could he break through desperate situations and take control of his own fate. Chon Hak-yang's defeat also reminded everyone never to underestimate any opponent, because someone who looked defeated could still counterattack from the brink, and carelessness always came with a painful price. Soo-yeon had seized that one slim opportunity, and that was how he carved out a path to survive from a battle he should have lost. In the end, Soo-yeon successfully defeated Chon Hak-yang with ancient Taekyon. After being beaten, Chon Hak-yang finally realized that the technique Soo-yeon had used was Taekyon. To be honest, he had been careless in this fight. In truth, Chon Hak-yang's reason for wanting to become stronger was not complicated. When he was young, he saw his younger sister being bullied, so he decided to become strong enough to protect his family. By chance, Chon Hak-yang later discovered judo. As his strength improved, more and more people began following him. Chon Hak-yang strictly forbade his underlings from bullying kind people, but when facing rotten troublemakers, he allowed them to use the harshest methods. After learning that Do-hyuk Kong from East High had bullied his younger sister, Chon Hak-yang immediately stormed into West High to rescue her. But unexpectedly, his sister had already been saved by someone called Hansen Soo-yeon Kim. That was why, before meeting Soo-yeon, Chon Hak-yang had never wanted to lose to anyone. That night, after returning home, Soo-yeon could not help thinking back on what happened today. After all, Chon Hak-yang was only ranked 20th in North High, yet his stats were already close to Haejin's. then how terrifying would the fighters ranked above 20th be? To be honest, although Suyan had won this fight by catching his opponent off guard, winning was all that mattered in a fight. His newly learned ancient Taekyon had many unpredictable moves, and very few people knew about this martial art, making it an extremely tricky fighting style. But then Suyan thought about the boxing cards he had obtained before. Since ancient Taekyon could replace those techniques, maybe he should just dismantle the boxing cards. Then again, he would have to be crazy to dismantle them just because he did not need them for the moment. After all, he had worked hard to collect those boxing cards. With that in mind, Suyan could only take out the diamond card he had obtained yesterday. Right after that, Suyan gave the system the command to open the card. A diamond card called Card Festival appeared before Suyan's eyes. The next day, their strategist Jihyuk Jang officially declared the start of the war. Right now, Heijin and the North High allied forces were holding East High in check. This was the perfect opportunity to launch a full attack on South High and expand West High's influence. Jihyuk Jang pointed out that there were two fastest routes leading into South High, but if they attacked only Area A or Area B on its own, the enemy would definitely concentrate all their reinforcements there. So they had to split into two teams and strike both areas at the same time. That way, the enemy would have no room to shift support properly. Once the strategy was decided, everyone moved out immediately. First, Hyundong Lee stayed behind with reinforcements from the other schools to defend West High against any surprise attack. Guido led the first-year members to attack Area A. Meanwhile, Suyeon and Haru Song teamed up to strike South High's Area B. The two of them marched straight into the headquarters building of Area B. If they could take this place, it would mean controlling the entire B district. Haru could not hold back his curiosity, so he pushed open the deepest door in the building. To his surprise, inside were the twins they had fought before, along with Dongwoo Wang and the others. The three of them immediately mocked Suyeon, saying that last time the three of them had only won by luck, and now that they only had two people, there was no way they could stand against Dongwoo Wang. Right as they said that, Suyeon used Taekyon slap kick and struck first in an instant. After all, the effect of the diamond card he got last night had already activated. It not only upgraded every card Suyeon currently had, but also opened them up for use by all of his team members. Suyeon immediately turned around and told Haru Sung to go deal with the small fry, while he himself would take on the three strongest fighters in Area B alone. Dongwoo Wang sneered that learning a few new techniques meant nothing. No matter how good Suyeon's techniques were, his build was still the same weak body as before. But just then, one of their underlings rushed in with news that Area A was also under heavy attack from West High. Left-hand System, right-hand Ma, put them together, and it became Systema. The small fry in South High's Area A were quickly wiped out by Guido. Now the only one left was South Gangbok High's number 9, Jihyun Lee. Armed with only a wooden sword, she stood her ground firmly. She was the Kendo expert ranked 9th in South High. With one glance, Guido could tell that her strength was above his own. Guido declared, "But to the Dark Destroyer, you are nothing more than a spotted deer with a stick in its mouth. I am not going to go easy on you just because you are a woman." Jihyun Lee coldly told Guido to stop talking and just fight. Right then, South Gangbok High's number 8, Hak Jin-ju, also appeared. Hak Jin-ju mocked Jihyun Lee, saying that if she could not handle it, then she simply could not handle it, and that the so-called Dark Destroyer Guido should be left to him instead. On the other side, Haru Sung stared at Suyeon in disbelief. He knew Suyeon had been training like crazy lately and pushing his strength higher everywhere he went. But Suyeon had now become absurdly strong. So strong that he could easily suppress opponents who had been overwhelming him not long ago. Seeing how troublesome Suyeon had become, Dongwoo Wang instantly lunged in to kill him. At the same time, the system released a side quest, Revenge. Defeat Dongwoo Wang and receive 1 gold card. Haru Sung tried to step in and help, but Suyeon stopped him, because at that moment, he could already withstand Dongwoo Wang's strength head-on. At that moment, Dongwoo Wang completely panicked. Just a few days ago, Suyeon had been a pathetic weakling who could barely fight back, but now his strength was actually matching Dongwoo Wang's head-on. The next second, Suyeon activated the Transcend Limits card. In an instant, he lifted the several hundred-pound Dongwoo Wang straight over his head. Then he slammed him down with a brutal body throw. Dongwoo Wang had felt this kind of monstrous strength before, but he never imagined Suyeon would have power on the same level as Seok Kang. Right after that, the system announced that the side quest had been completed, and on top of that, the reward was a gold card. Dongwoo Wang still could not understand how Suyeon had improved this fast, and for the first time, he even started worrying that Seok Kang might not be able to beat him in the future. As soon as the fight ended, Suyeon immediately called Guido in Area A, but Guido never answered, and that instantly gave Suyeon a very bad feeling. When Suyeon finally reached Area A, he was met with a horrifying sight. Guido had been ambushed and was lying there unconscious with severe injuries, and the first-year members with him had all been badly hurt as well. The attacker had used a metal weapon, so it was clearly not Jihyun Lee. It was Hak Jin-ju, South High's number 8. a man notorious for being ruthless and dirty. He was even the kind of guy Suk King himself could not stand. Gito's injuries were far worse than expected. Hak Jin-ju had attacked with lethal intent from the start, making it obvious that he had been trying to kill him. Looking at Gito's condition, Soo-yeon muttered under his breath, "That must have hurt." Back then, Soo-yeon had been bullied by Chang Dong-choi and the others simply because he tried to get back the tablet he had lent out. In the end, it was Gito who stepped in, handed over his own tablet, and ended up getting beaten alongside Soo-yeon because of it. And Chang Dong-choi had even threatened everyone else, saying that anyone who got close to the two of them would end up the same way. At the time, Soo-yeon could never understand why someone like Gito, who barely even knew him, would help him. But Gito had simply said one quiet sentence, "I want to be friends with you, Soo-yeon Kim." And it was because of Gito that Soo-yeon managed to survive those hellish days at school. So Soo-yeon first told Hyundong Lee to take everyone to the hospital, while he himself headed alone to settle the score with South High. Meanwhile, inside South High, Hak Jin-ju declared that only by going all the way could they make the people of West High afraid to ever step into South High again. Suk King normally hated Hak Jin-ju's methods, but even he admitted this time that Hak Jin-ju had done well. But right then, one of the underlings rushed in a panic. He reported that South High's number 13 and number 15 had already been taken down, and the intruder was none other than Hansen Soo-yeon Kim alone. On top of that, he had already smashed through 3 zones and was now charging straight towards South High's main base. Seok Kang looked completely stunned. He could not believe Soo-yeon had become this terrifying. Ji-hyun Lee, meanwhile, said she had not even gotten enough of a warm-up yet today, but unexpectedly, Hak Jin-ju volunteered to go himself. He said the kind of opponent he was best at handling was exactly the type who fought while blinded by emotion. Back at West High, Ji-hyuk Jang was genuinely shocked when he heard that Soo-yeon had stormed into enemy territory all by himself. Hyundong admitted there was no way he could stop Soo-yeon. After all, this was the first time he had ever seen Soo-yeon this furious. Back then, Soo-yeon had been the only one in class getting bullied, and the reason was nothing more than those guys wanting to show off in front of the girls. But Gito got dragged into it too just because he wanted to be friends with Soo-yeon. He ended up suffering the same abuse for no reason at all. Before the system quests ever began, the only reason Soo-yeon had still been able to keep going to school was not his parents and not his teachers. It was simply because Gito was there. At that moment, Soo-yeon was inside South High, coldly demanding to know where Hak Jin-ju was. One trembling underling was just about to speak when suddenly, a fist packed with raw power slammed hard into Soo-yeon's face. The one who appeared was Hak Jin-ju, the man who had beaten Gito into critical condition. He mocked Soo-yeon, admitting that he had beaten Gito half to death, and even made up a lie about Gito begging on his knees, trying to push Soo-yeon over the edge. But Soo-yeon knew very well that the Dark Destroyer would never bow his head to scum like this. Everything you're saying right now is nothing but a pathetic delusion you made up to satisfy yourself. After being exposed, the humiliated and furious Hak Jin-ju swung his fist hard, but facing the incoming punch, Soo-yeon said nothing. After defeating Dongwoo Wang, the system had rewarded him with a finishing gold card called Mad Warrior, which allowed the user to ignore pain for 2 minutes while massively increasing combat power. But the price was that once the skill ended, the user would fall unconscious. Soo-yeon said in fury, "From now on, you have 2 minutes to get beaten." In an instant, Soo-yeon's attack slammed brutally into Hak Jin-ju's stomach. Then he followed up with an elbow strike to the neck. A split second later, he drove Hak Jin-ju straight into the wall. Then Soo-yeon stomped hard onto Hak Jin-ju's face. With all his strength, Soo-yeon instantly destroyed his opponent. Looking down at the unconscious Hak Jin-ju, Soo-yeon coldly said, "I still have 110 seconds left." As the Mad Warrior skill neared its end, Soo-yeon said coldly, "You dare to touch Gito, then I'll wipe out South High." Right as he said that, Soo-yeon collapsed unconscious on the ground. Back at West High, Haru-sung grew frantic after losing contact with Soo-yeon and wanted to rush in to support him, but Ji-hyuk Jang said that charging in recklessly would only get him killed. He had already sent the only person in West High who could rescue Soo-yeon from enemy territory. Facing the doubts of South High's number 7, Sungmin Lee, Hajin's eyes remained firm as he entered enemy territory alone, all to bring back Soo-yeon, who had risked everything. Sungmin Lee from South High coldly asked Hajin if he could really do it alone. Did he seriously think he could carry dead weight, defeat them, and escape South High at the same time? Right as he said that, Sungmin Lee threw a heavy punch at Hajin, but to Hajin-gu, West Gangbuk High's number 3, South High's number 7 was far too slow. Still, Sungmin Lee said it did not matter whether he could beat Hajin or not. After all, when a sheep walked into a wolf pack, no one was going to give it a fair one-on-one fight. But unexpectedly, an underling behind him suddenly warned Sungmin Lee that something terrible had happened. Jae-ha-han from East Gangbuk-hai had brought his men and launched an attack. After hearing the news, Sungmin Lee immediately went to Seok-kang to ask what was going on. But Seok asked in confusion whether Sungmin Lee was not supposed to be dealing with Ha-jun right now. Sungmin Lee anxiously said that as soon as he received the news, he rushed back immediately. He asked Seok in confusion if Jae-ha-han from East Gangbuk-hai hadn't already brought his men to attack. After hearing Sungmin Lee's explanation, Seok coldly reminded him that he had been tricked. In fact, they had probably already walked into West Gangbuk-hai's trap. To help Haejin and Sooyeon escape from South High, West High had deliberately spread false information, and the chance to capture both Haejin and Sooyeon would never come again. So no matter what, they could not let them leave easily. Notify every South High member immediately and continue intercepting Sooyeon at full speed. Seok said coldly that today, South High would eliminate West Gangbuk-hai no matter what. After Seok-kang gave the order, more and more South High thugs moved in to stop Haejin. But as Ha-jun kept fighting, he suddenly wondered why he was even fighting right now. Was he really doing this to protect Sooyeon Kim? When had he started seeing Sooyeon as a real friend? Then again, when Sooyeon was being ridiculous, he honestly did have a strange kind of charm. Right as he thought that, Haejin took the stance of the Kisi fighting method, because this was the first time he had chosen to fight for a friend. But unexpectedly, after intimidating them for so long, the enemies did not dare attack him at all. Instead, the South High thugs grabbed wooden sticks and rushed straight towards Sooyeon. Just as the sticks were about to smash down on Sooyeon, Haejin instantly threw himself forward and blocked the attack for him. Meanwhile, Hyundong Lee, who had stayed behind at West High, was losing his mind with worry. He knew that if Seok-kang personally joined the fight, Haejin would not be able to hold out. Hyundong anxiously asked their strategist, Ji-hyuk-jang, whether they had any trump cards left. But with all their cards already used, West High could only trust Haejin completely. Then, unexpectedly, Haru-sung said that West High could not just sit there and wait. Haru suggested using himself as bait to split up South High's forces, but the sound of a door suddenly opening interrupted his thoughts. The one who came in was Haejin, who had broken out of South High while carrying Sooyeon. Ha-jun casually placed the unconscious Sooyeon on the floor. Then Haejin, who had forced himself to make it back to West High, finally collapsed and lost consciousness as well. Seeing that Ha-jun had actually carved his way out of that hellish encirclement all by himself, Seok, who had rushed to the battlefield, was filled with frustration. He finally realized he had underestimated Ha-jun's strength. But now that West High's two core fighters had both lost consciousness, Seok planned to take advantage of the opening and attack the now defenseless West High directly. However, just as Seok was preparing to launch a full-scale attack on West High, one of South High's underlings urgently reported that Jae-ha-han from East High had already brought his men to attack. Jae-ha had always believed he could swallow West High whenever he wanted, which meant South High was the real first target of his ambition. While South High was distracted, East High had already made its move. If they recklessly attacked West Gangbuk-hai now, South High's headquarters would be in danger. Meanwhile, Sooyeon slowly woke up in his own bed. Remembering how Ha-jun had risked himself to protect him, Sooyeon felt deeply guilty. So when he went to school tomorrow, he knew he should properly thank Haejin. But after going through battle after battle, Sooyeon was already exhausted in both body and mind, and he soon fell into a deep sleep again. Unexpectedly, Copy Cloud suddenly summoned itself on its own. It turned out that after being strengthened by Card Festival, Copy Cloud had developed self-awareness. Now, Copy Cloud was beginning to move according to its own will. Sensing something strange, Sooyeon suddenly opened his eyes. When he saw the annoying face of his younger sister in front of him, Sooyeon immediately snapped, "You bastard! What are you doing in the middle of the night? Did South High pay you to come assassinate your own brother?" But then Sooyeon noticed the Copy Cloud mark on his sister's neck. Sooyeon immediately grew confused. Had he summoned Copy Cloud in his sleep? But suddenly, the Copy Dahyun unexpectedly called him Oppa. When their mother in the living room heard Sooyeon talking, she was about to come in and check on him. To avoid exposing Copy Cloud's existence, Sooyeon quickly lied and said he was watching an action movie. After dealing with the problem involving his mom, Sooyeon fell into confusion. He could not understand why Copy Cloud insisted on taking Dahyun's appearance. After Copy Cloud promised to stay quiet, Sooyeon removed the tape from its mouth. Sooyeon told Copy Cloud that if two identical people appeared in the world, things would get seriously troublesome. Besides, Copy Cloud's previous job was to stay in North High and pretend to be Haru-sung. So until the North High double situation was resolved, Copy Cloud had better not come out randomly. But when Sooyeon thought about how Copy Cloud could only stay trapped in a dark, empty space whenever it was not summoned, he immediately decided to summon Copy Cloud for 5 hours every day, letting it watch TV and experience the outside world a little. After staying busy all night without sleeping, Sooyeon finally realized that today was Monday. When Guido came to school with him, he immediately saw that Suyeon had not slept all night. But Suyeon was more curious about why Guido could move around just fine, despite being badly injured. Guido admitted that the muscles his family had trained for years had protected his bones. However, his heart had been left with a lingering problem, and a strange, empty feeling still would not go away. That experience also made Guido fully understand the answer in his heart about love. Just then, Suyeon noticed Karen walking into the classroom. Usually, Karen was always late, but today, she was unusually on time. Before Suyeon could react, Karen slapped him hard across the face. Suyeon was completely confused. Did this mean he had to apologize now, even when he had done nothing wrong? Then again, what exactly was going on with Karen today? At lunch, Karen talked with her friends about the dream she had last night. In the dream, she had actually been intimate with Suyeon, and that bizarre feeling made her start paying attention to a guy she had barely cared about before. But Suyeon, completely unaware of this, only remembered how Hajun had saved his life. Even while eating, he kept telling Hajun to eat more and recover properly. Meanwhile, Seok-kang gathered South Gangbuk High's main fighters. They were South High's number 5 and number 4, Chang Yu-min and Jin Guo, along with number 3, Byung-sang Jong, and number 2, Yu Gyum-na. Seok had gathered them because the Gangbuk assembly was fast approaching. After all, everyone here was part of South Gangbuk High's elite, so Seok demanded that they help him capture that damn Suyeon Kim. After school, since they were heading the same way, Suyeon naturally walked together with Karen. Suyeon kept feeling like Karen was acting strange today. But just as the impatient Shireen was about to tell Suyeon to get lost, a basketball suddenly flew toward them from another direction. At the critical moment, Suyeon instantly raised his hand and blocked the ball. After being protected, Shireen felt her heart flutter and wanted to invite Suyeon to eat with her. But Suyeon said he already had plans, then introduced Soha Yang, who was walking beside him. Unable to understand the situation, Karen could only ask what their relationship was. Then Soha Yang said they were close enough to spend the night at each other's houses. That one sentence instantly changed the expression of Karen, who had originally been waiting to laugh at him. Suyeon hurriedly explained that it had only been an accidental overnight stay that one time. But Karen, overwhelmed with jealousy, directly said that she and Suyeon had a special relationship because they had indirectly kissed before. Unexpectedly, Soha Yang boldly declared that she was about to go on a date with Suyeon. Then she teasingly asked Karen if she secretly liked Suyeon, but Karen coldly replied that she was simply annoyed by how poorly raised Soha seemed. After saying that, Karen turned around and walked away without looking back. The next day, Suyeon officially gathered West Gangbuk High's core lineup. There was their strategist, Ji-hyuk Jung, along with West High's number 5, Haru Sung. Then came West High's number 2, Guido, and number 4, Hyundong Lee. And finally, there was Hajun Gu, currently the strongest overall fighter in West High. The highly anticipated Gangbuk assembly was about to begin. The top dogs of every major school district would be there, and they might even get a chance to meet the strongest ruler of North Gangbuk High. The strategist, Ji-hyuk Jung, reviewed the situation and laid out a brand new plan. At this Gangbuk assembly, West High had to form an alliance with Jae-ha Han of East Gangbuk High. Right now, the war between West High and South High was stuck in a deadlock. If Haejun alone kept holding East High back for too long, the cost to their fighting strength would be massive. So as long as they offered East High enough benefits, they had a chance to join forces. Once that happened, West High could attack South High from both sides, crush Seok-kang's forces completely, and bring this conflict to an end. However, the people from South High had already arrived at the Gangbuk assembly. As soon as Jae-ha saw Seok, he mocked him, asking if South High was a bunch of honor students since they had arrived so early. But Seok used the moment to question Jae-ha about ambushing them and stealing their territory. Jae-ha simply said he had taken everything with his own strength. So what exactly was Seok going to do about it? Besides, at this Gangbuk assembly, East High already held the absolute advantage. But just as the tension reached its peak, the members of West High stepped into the venue. Jae-ha was completely shocked. No one had expected West Gangbuk High, which originally had only 3 people, to gather 6 top-tier fighters in such a short amount of time. And with that, an assembly that would decide the power structure of every school in Gangbuk officially began.